I'm Jodie, 29 years old, now working from home. Huie and I have been married for 3 years. Before transitioning to remote work, I held a consulting role at a major corporation, overseeing online operations. The decision to freelance came unexpectedly after I became pregnant, prompting me to leave my corporate job. Thanks to my background in marketing, I've been able to secure consulting projects and manage online operations, which has been financially rewarding. Huie doesn't fully grasp the nature of my work. He doesn't realize that I earn an income, viewing my job more as a hobby. Working from home has afforded me flexibility, allowing for a peaceful pregnancy and a safe delivery of our daughter Caddy. During the initial month post-delivery, I stayed with my parents, relying on their support. However, Huie kept urging my return, prompting me to shorten my planned 3-month stay to just 1 before returning to our apartment. Since then, I've managed to balance work and childcare without financial issues. However, one day my mother-in-law Olivia proposed that we live together. We've always had a decent relationship with my in-laws, maintaining a respectful distance, so the idea of living together didn't seem entirely unwelcome. Still cautious about potential tensions between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law, I agreed under the condition that we build a duplex. My in-laws were delighted with the prospect of living together under any circumstances, so I swiftly found a construction company that accommodated our requirements and oversaw the purchase and construction of the property. Approximately 6 months after we first discussed living together, our new home was finished. It's a duplex with shared spaces, including a common entrance. The second floor features a small kitchen and living area. It's cozy, and the construction stayed within our budget, alleviating any financial concerns I had. When the house was finally completed, my in-laws were overjoyed, and their happiness was reassuring. Olivia enthusiastically volunteered to take care of Caddy, our daughter, which initially seemed like a great help for my work. However, those hopes were quickly dashed. Once we began living together, Olivia started imposing household chores on me even during my work hours. She'd barge into my office without regard, demanding, "I'm hungry, make me something right now," or "hurry up and do the laundry, there's dust everywhere." She'd even guilt-trip me with, "If you don't clean, my allergies will act up," and complain about Caddy's cries, insisting, "She's noisy, do something about it." These constant interruptions made it nearly impossible to concentrate on work. Consequently, I often found myself working late into the night, struggling to balance work commitments with caring for Caddy, which took a toll on my mental and physical health. When I confided in Huie about Olivia's behavior, he didn't support me. "You're the wife, you should naturally obey," he would say dismissively. His criticisms escalated with each complaint I raised. Even when I asserted, "I'm not just playing on my computer, I'm working seriously," he refused to believe me. Cody, my father-in-law, appeared to echo Olivia and Hughie's beliefs. "Working from home isn't serious, it's more like a hobby," he would often remark, showing little faith in my work. This constant skepticism began to erode my confidence, leaving me afraid that I was worthless and might eventually be abandoned due to my perceived inadequacies. Then, one day, when Huie was off from work and everyone was at home, I was working with Caddy beside me when Huie abruptly burst into the room with a loud noise. "Come to my parents' room right now," he demanded, completely disregarding Caddy, who started crying in response to the disturbance. It seemed deliberate. He must have known Caddy was there. Frustrated by Hughie's and my in-laws' lack of consideration for my work, I comforted Caddy and reluctantly headed downstairs. Entering the living room, I found my parents-in-law and Huie engaged in animated conversation. Irritation began to simmer within me, reaching its limit. "What's going on?" I asked calmly, settling down with Caddy in my arms. The three of them continued whispering, their secretive demeanor making me uneasy as I waited for them to include me in the discussion. Then Olivia cleared her throat dramatically and fixed me with a stern look. "You need to leave this house," she declared abruptly. I was taken aback by Olivia's sudden statement. What did she mean by leave? Was she suggesting I go back to my parents' house temporarily? "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to steady my voice as I stared back at her, searching for an explanation. "It means exactly what I said," she sneered, folding her arms defiantly. I glanced over at Huie, hoping for some clarity, but he just kept smiling placidly. Is he out of his mind, or am I losing mine? I wondered silently. Determined to understand, I took a deep breath and calmly asked Olivia to explain her statement. Her eyes gleamed with a vindictive satisfaction, and she launched into a diatribe with a smile that mirrored Hugh's. Every day, you neglect the housework, let Caddy cry endlessly, and just waste your time playing with your computer and phone. I don't know if you're solely relying on Hugh's salary, but you never heed advice, acting like a parasite, Olivia continued, her laughter ringing out as if she found the situation amusing. I'm sorry if the housework isn't up to your standards, but I do the essentials. And Caddy is well taken care of, she's a calm child. I countered Olivia's accusations, trying to defend myself. I can't just abandon my computer and phone. I'm working, isn't that understandable? Hugh suddenly fixed me with a harsh glare. Are you cheating or something? He accused sharply. I stared back at Hugh, utterly bewildered by his unfounded accusation. Yes, Jodie is cheating. Olivia chimed in, casting a disgusted glance in my direction. Shocked by their accusation, I protested vehemently. I'm not cheating. I can show you my phone right now. I reached for my mobile, eager to prove my innocence, but Hugh dismissed it with a scoff. Anyone can manipulate that. You can't be trusted. Really? Realizing arguing was futile, I reluctantly put away my phone. We don't need someone like you here. Parasites should leave immediately. Olivia continued her tirade. Get out quickly, she demanded. I began to consider leaving with my daughter as the only viable option. However, one critical reason held me back: the duplex house. I have financed it, attended countless meetings with the construction company, and meticulously overseen its design. I couldn't simply agree to leave so easily. Besides, the mortgage was still under my name, and I doubted whose salary alone could cover our living expenses. If I leave, my income goes too. Can you manage that? I challenged them, hoping to provoke some reconsideration. Hugh scoffed dismissively. What income? Don't be ridiculous. We've been living off my salary all this time. His cluelessness almost evoked pity from me. I sighed deeply and turned to Olivia. Dealing with Hugh is like handling a 6-month-old baby. Are you up for the task? He's demanding, needs his towels, underwear, and pajamas laid out after his bath, shoes polished daily, shirts impeccably ironed, suits deodorized and crease-free. If his morning coffee isn't perfect, he goes off like a volcano. I doubted Olivia could manage Hugh's high maintenance. I'm offering you a chance, I said, giving her an opportunity. I can do a better job than you, just playing around, she scoffed, dismissing my offer. Besides, if you leave, Hugh already has someone else in mind. Olivia added smugly, revealing something I shouldn't have heard. Who? What does that mean? I didn't miss a beat, turning my gaze squarely on Huie and Olivia. Olivia looked regretful and quickly glanced away. Hugh shot Olivia a stern look and whispered sharply, Why did you say that? Explain yourself. The reactions hinted that Hugh might indeed have another woman. I fixed a piercing gaze on Hugh, silently demanding an explanation. Uncomfortably, he began to speak. Apparently, for a few months now, I've been seeing a woman named Carol, Hugh admitted in a low voice. She's in her early 20s, and she was smitten with me from the start, during a business encounter. After she made her feelings clear, we started dating. Carol is beautiful, poised, and has a great personality, he added with a laugh. I found it hard to believe, considering Hugh's appearance. I couldn't imagine such a young woman being interested in him. Half skeptical, I asked Hugh for proof, thinking, if this is true, I need to secure some kind of compensation. Hugh showed me his WhatsApp conversation with Carol. As I expected, most of the messages were from Hugh, suggesting dates and paying compliments. However, Carol appeared uninterested in anything beyond professional matters, responding with polite but brief messages. There were no emojis or informal language, just straightforward replies. Taken aback by Hugh's smug expression, I struggled to find words. Quietly, I captured screenshots of the conversation, transferring them to my phone and saving them, just in case they might serve as evidence later. Then I'll leave, I stated firmly. After everything that had unfolded, any warmth I had felt toward Hughie had evaporated, and I no longer cared about their reactions. I'm taking Caddy with me, I declared, observing Hugh and my parents-in-law seemingly pleased by my decision to depart. Hugh's demeanor shifted abruptly, his hands dropping to his sides. What are you talking about? You can't raise Caddy without any income, he objected sternly. Leave Caddy here. Don't be irrational, my parents-in-law chimed in, failing to grasp why I insisted on taking her with me. As far as I'm concerned, I see no reason to leave my daughter in this situation, I argued firmly. I have my own income, and I can't leave her with people who can't adequately care for her. When Caddy grows up, she'll work hard, and I'll support her, I continued, trying to reason with them. Huie interrupted with nonsensical remarks as I spoke, further frustrating me. Why would I leave Caddy? What kind of father does he think he is? My anger surged, fueled by Hugh's self-centered remarks, oblivious to the repercussions. He's even treating our daughter like a pawn. Fine then, let's settle custody in court. Get a lawyer ready. In the meantime, I'll take care of her. I knew arguing here would only escalate tensions with Huie and my parents-in-law. Confident in my decision, I resolved to proceed with legal action without hesitation. Once they acquiesced, I wasted no time in making preparations to leave. Over the next few days, I remained steadfast by my daughter's side, making necessary preparations. I reached out to the construction company that had built our house, laying out my situation in detail. I inquired about reputable real estate agents to sell the property. Nick, the company president, swiftly allied with me, ensuring they would manage everything. True to his word, they arranged a quick and lucrative sale, surprising me with the house fetching a higher price than anticipated, thanks to its recent construction, impeccable condition, and prime location. Simultaneously, they secured a suitable apartment for my daughter and me, mindful of my budget constraints but offering a great place at an affordable rate. I expressed my heartfelt gratitude and wasted no time in preparing for our move. Oh, have you already found a place? Olivia asked with a hint of amusement as I packed dishes in the living room. Yes, I replied curtly, seeing no reason to elaborate. We'll be quiet without you around, she remarked casually. Well, the one thing I'm grateful for is that you gave birth to Caddy, Olivia chuckled before walking away. Despite her unpleasant demeanor, I'd assessed the apartment. The sofa and dining table, which I had purchased, seemed too large for the new space, prompting me to decide to sell them. The refrigerator, though slightly oversized, I chose to take with me, marking it with a sticker. I labeled all the furniture and appliances I wanted to keep and snapped photos of the items I planned to part with using my mobile phone. On the day of the move, I deliberately chose a time when Huie and my parents-in-law were out. Huie was at work and the parents-in-law had been called away to a community event. Armed with the divorce papers Huie had given me, I coordinated with the movers to relocate my belongings. I also arranged for the construction company to handle waste removal for the furniture and items I didn't plan to take with me. The move progressed smoothly, and within 2 hours, everything was done. A few hours later, I left the house with Caddy and began settling into our new apartment. While organizing things, the phone rang. It was Olivia. It was already 5 o'clock in the evening, and I had left before noon, so it seemed she had just realized what had happened. I answered the call cautiously. Jodie, why is the house empty? Olivia's voice came through flustered and loud over the phone. Those things were mine. I got rid of what I didn't need. What's going on? Well, I bought them myself. I have receipts and other proofs of purchase, so there's no need for complaints, I stated with a laugh. Olivia seemed speechless, responding with nonsensical protests. Oh, and I've sold the house, so please vacate within a month, I added cheerfully. Olivia sounded even more surprised. Why would you do that? The house is in my name since I oversaw its construction and have been paying the mortgage. Olivia tried to argue, but I ended the call before she could say more. Afterward, I received numerous calls from my parents-in-law and Huie, but I chose to ignore them all. My priority was swiftly settling the apartment for Caddy's comfort, leaving no room for distractions. I also sought legal advice, and all future communications were directed through my lawyer. Months passed, marked by persistent negotiations, and I successfully secured custody of Caddy. The reasons were straightforward. I had substantial financial stability, had been Caddy's primary caregiver, and my work-from-home setup allowed me to provide ample time and care. Huie, who had presumed he would automatically gain custody, was stunned and bitterly exclaimed, "I never needed that girl anyway," storming off in frustration. Relieved to finally enjoy a peaceful life with my daughter, a sense of tranquility washed over me. However, my parents-in-law and Huie had yet to vacate the house. Uncertain of my next steps, I received a call from the president of the construction company. With resolve, I simply stated, "Please evict them." Understanding the situation, the president chuckled heartily and assured me, "Consider it done," before ending the call. I'm not sure how the president managed to persuade Huie and my parents-in-law to leave, but it must have been quite a feat. A few days later, I received word that they had moved out, and I was impressed by the efficiency. Even that brought a sense of relief to my heart. However, several months after the divorce, Hugh reached out to me. Why? By then, the divorce was finalized and my parents-in-law had mostly backed off, so I hadn't blocked his number. Yet, I immediately regretted not changing my phone number or maintaining the block. It's been a while. I was just thinking maybe you were starting to miss me, Hugh said. What is he even talking about? I felt more liberated than ever after the divorce, not having to worry about him. Still, I listened to Hugh's words. Apparently, Hugh had been dumped by Carol and thought I was his only option left. The way he got dumped was quite something. Right after our divorce, he went to Carol and said, "We could be together now." She responded very coldly, mistaking her professional demeanor at work for something more personal. Hugh even showed up at her home, resulting in a restraining order from the police. I recounted. He claimed, "I dumped her, but frankly, I had no interest in his story." I hung up while he was still talking and promptly blocked him. I blocked all messages and later changed my phone number, starting fresh. From mutual friends, I heard that after the incident with Carol, Hugh had trouble at work and clashed with clients. Eventually, he resigned. Struggling financially, he constantly asked various people for loans. Perhaps my parents-in-law are looking after him, but with his modest income, it's unlikely he's leading a stable life. As for me, I'm living a fulfilling life with Caddy, focusing entirely on our present, which brings me immense happiness.
Patty, I've always been telling you, haven't I? I wanted a son to carry on our family name, yet you gave birth to a girl. I don't need someone who's useless like you. Sign the divorce papers and get out of the house with your daughter.
One day, out of the blue, this was what Tony blurted out at my in-laws' house. In his right hand was the divorce paper, and he was holding his mistress on his left side. As I was dumbfounded by his unbelievable claim, his mistress added seriously, "Hello, I'm Kristen. I'm carrying Tony's baby, and of course, the baby's a boy. We've already confirmed the gender with tests, so I'll be the one to make Tony happy. Please, don't interfere with us anymore. Got it?" It was as if I was being painted as the villain. Then my mother-in-law, Laura, delivered the final blow. "I was completely deceived by you, Patty. I feel sorry for Tony, so never show your face to us again." There was not a single reasonable person around here. I couldn't understand how they could say such heartless words like that. While glancing at the entrance, I was utterly shocked, but I wasn't surprised or panicked about the situation. "What are you all even talking about?" "I have been single for a week now. I'm no longer your wife, Tony, so do as you please. Sarah and I will leave."
Patty, have you lost your mind? When did we get divorced? The divorce is supposed to happen right now.
"You're the one who lost your mind, Dad. We've already moved to a new house, so bye."
What are you talking about, Sarah? You guys are really stupid.
My husband laughed loudly enough for it to be heard outside as he pointed at us. He may be laughing now, but that won't last long. He has no clue on what's about to happen. I will never forgive my husband. He will surely regret hurting our daughter. As my husband continued to laugh, I calmly began to speak. "The stupid one here is you, Tony. I already filed the divorce papers. You just had no clue about it."
Being pushed to the edge really does make people do unexpected things, huh? I never thought you would espouse such nonsense, but I guess this is your true nature. I feel way better knowing I'm divorcing a liar like you.
My husband, along with Laura and Kristen, looked down on me with contempt. "Really, why did I ever approve of such a foolish daughter-in-law like you? I really want to punch my past self. I wasted my precious son's time. The biggest sin of my life. The only comfort is that you're about to be discarded right now. So just get out, loser." "Oh, Laura, you and Tony are too kind. How could you just listen to her? I definitely made the right choice in choosing Tony. He's such a compassionate man. Patty, stop lying and let Tony go. It's for your own good." Their smirks were exactly like those evil witches in fairy tales. The heart is revealed through actions, and the ability to upset people with just a laugh is, in a way, a talent. But where there is evil, there is also justice. From now on, I will be the one to judge this evil. They will all regret what they've done. I displayed a video on my smartphone and confronted the three. Do you recognize this?
A video? No. Footage from a camera? What about it?
Oh, isn't this Tony's room? Why do you have footage of Tony's room on your smartphone? Do they really not understand anything? For people who call others stupid, their brains don't seem to be very sharp. That's exactly why they engage in immoral acts like infidelity so easily and even condone it. At the moment, it all made sense to me. I decided to reveal the truth to the three of them. This is footage from a hidden camera. I have been secretly monitoring you, Tony. I installed a camera in your room. So with that, I found out about your mistress and the pre-filled divorce papers.
What? You installed a hidden camera in my room?
That's why I secretly took out the divorce papers while you were away and submitted them. If you think I'm lying, why don't you go check it? There's nothing left in that drawer. Tony returned from his room half in disbelief, but when he came back, his face was pale. He seemed to have recognized the truth of my words. Laura and Kristen also lost their smiles when they saw his state. I can't believe it. She already knew.
Well, I'm surprised, but this is convenient, isn't it? It saved me the trouble of submitting them. Kristen, let's remarry right now. Nothing can stop us now.
That's right. When you think about it, there's nothing bad about this. It just sped up the process of getting rid of a useless daughter-in-law like her. This woman couldn't get pregnant with a son anyway. She was never right for my precious Tony. This is a chance for Tony to restart his life. Laura laughed loudly. As a mother myself, I understand the feelings of a parent who loves their child, but even then, the love she has for her son seems a bit too much. Certainly, my husband had taken over the family business after his father passed away, and he probably earned more than the average person. I knew he had worked hard. After all, we were married. But no matter how adorable a parent finds their outstanding child, it doesn't justify mistreating their spouse. The harsh words thrown at me by Laura from the time we were married are a bitter memory I wish I could forget. It has been truly difficult. My only ally is my daughter, Sarah. She has even been ignored and mistreated by them. I can never forgive them. Only I can protect my daughter. I will make them pay for how they treated us. I pulled out a small piece of paper from the drawer and presented it to the three. Tony and his mother looked at the paper with puzzled expressions.
What is this scrap of paper? A business card?
Hansen Corporation's CEO, Robert Gale? Isn't Hansen Corporation a major client of your company, Tony?
Yeah. Why do you have the business card of the CEO of such a big company? You shouldn't have any chance to interact with a CEO like him.
The two of them spoke as they pleased. Do they think I'm some kind of punching bag? Unfortunately, I'm human and sharp words do hurt. But they seem unaware of this. While that was happening, Kristen looked pale. Noticing her turning pale, Tony spoke up.
Kristen, what's wrong? You look pale.
Of course she would. Wouldn't you be shocked if someone suddenly pulled out your own father's business card?
Huh? Father? What are you talking about?
Seeing my husband's visibly confused expression, I couldn't help but smile. He really knew nothing. Seizing the moment, I raised my voice and stated clearly, Your mistress is the daughter of your client's CEO.
What? No way. Such a perfect coincidence like that can't be true. You must have gone crazy.
I always thought you were a worthless daughter-in-law, but now you're just a jerk trying to frame people. I wonder what kind of upbringing produces such a worthless person like you. I'd really like to ask your parents about this. I was infuriated by what Laura said, which not only insulted me, but my parents as well. She really insults people as easily as breathing. My daughter puffed up her cheeks in indignation as well. Seeing her like that relaxed me a bit. Emboldened by the comments of Tony and his mother, Kristen confronted me with a defiant expression.
I agree with Tony and Laura. I don't care if he's the CEO of a big company or whatever. I've never met or heard of such a person. Don't make up someone's family out of nowhere, you jerk.
Exactly. I have met Mr. Gale because of my position, but he looked nothing like Kristen. Though I admit judging Kristen as a CEO's daughter makes sense, since she is elegant and intelligent. She's totally on a different level than you.
Right. She must have been raised by wonderful parents unlike you. That also means Sarah's future is predictable, even though she's Tony's daughter with a mother like you.
Laura glaringly sent a contemptuous look towards my daughter. Not to be outdone, my daughter glared back fiercely. Enraged, I slammed the papers I had prepared hard onto the table. What now? Robert Gale? Christian Gale? Adopted? This is Mr. Gale's family registry. It proves the identities of Mr. Gale, his wife, and their unmarried child. As written here, Kristen is Mr. Gale's adopted daughter, which is why she doesn't resemble him. What? Why do you have Mr. Gale's family registry? Because Mr. Gale and I have a cooperative relationship. After I learned of your affair, I tried to reach out to him. Mr. Gale kindly entrusted me with this family registry. Tony then raised his voice. What a joke. He's the CEO of a big company. You can't just meet him that easily. That family registry must be fake.
Now you've even resorted to faking documents. What a hopeless woman. Did you think we were so dumb as to be deceived by fake documents like this? You're gravely mistaken. Don't lump us in with someone as dumb as you.
The stupid ones here are you guys. Faking official documents is a crime called forgery of official documents, punishable by 1 to 10 years in prison. I wouldn't commit such a crime just for this. If I got arrested, Sarah would suffer. Then why are these documents here? You must have prepared these to confuse us. He seemed desperate to deny any relationship between Mr. Gale and Kristen. Clearly, the idea of his mistress being the daughter of a client's CEO was unthinkable. People tend to shut out information that's inconvenient to them. But that's fine. Whether they face it or not, they're doomed for life. If you think they're fake, that's fine. I'm just letting you know the facts. My firm stance began to change my husband and Laura's attitude. Their smiles vanished and they began to tremble. Tony turned back to Kristen. Kristen, just to make sure, tell me. You weren't deceiving me, right? Kristen shook her head vigorously.
That's impossible. Why would I lie to the person I love? Mr. Gale is a stranger to me. I had a child with you because I love you. I would never lie about this.
I couldn't help but give a grand round of applause to Kristen's response. Well done, Kristen. You've shown your unwavering will. You truly love Tony, don't you? I'm moved. So I have a reward for you. Just wait a moment. I hurried out of the living room with puzzled looks stabbing my back. Giving no care to that, I stepped outside and quickly returned with the reward. Sorry for the wait. Here's your reward.
What? No way!
Kristen's eyes widened in shock as she backed away. Unbeknownst to her, Mr. Gale had been waiting outside all along. Furthermore, the door was intentionally left ajar. When Tony presented me with the divorce papers today, I glanced at the entrance with dismay, aware of Mr. Gale's presence. Tony straightened up immediately and greeted as soon as he saw Mr. Gale. Oh, Mr. Gale, it's been a while. Don't worry about formalities. They mean nothing to me. Mr. Gale returned Tony's greeting with a cold gaze. A deep wrinkle formed between his eyebrows and his veins popped out. I've been waiting outside the door, and oh, what an interesting conversation I've heard. Tony, I've come to understand your true nature very well. It's been an enlightening experience. To think that there are people who speak such foul words in this world. Don't you think so?
Well, you see...
Knowing that Mr. Gale had heard everything, Tony seemed unable to come up with any excuses. He just stood there, dripping with cold sweat and looking down. Mr. Gale also glanced at Kristen, whose shoulders jolted up. Don't you two feel ashamed of what you've done? There are things one shouldn't do as a human. Marriage and love are different. Once you've sworn eternal love, you must at least fulfill the basic responsibilities. Apologize to Patty immediately. His angry voice filled the room. Tony and Kristen shrank back, but Laura stood her ground defiantly.
If eternal love is so important, then Tony and Kristen are deeply in love too. Patty no longer loves Tony. After all, she was the one who filed for divorce. Therefore, it is only natural for two people in love to be together. There is nothing wrong with that.
That is an unbearable justification. Yes, it is joyful when two people in love come together. However, both parties being single is the basic condition. Moreover, there's not only Patty, but also Sarah involved. Disposing of someone because they can't have a son? What era do you think you're living in? If you are living in the present, please update your mindset. This is just unacceptable.
At Mr. Gale's anger, Laura ran out of words to respond. The room fell silent. There was a reason for his anger. In fact, Mr. Gale's wife was infertile and unable to have children. There are still people with outdated mindsets like Tony and Laura, but there are also many who want to have children but can't. Pregnancy and childbirth are sacred, and we mustn't forget that. Mr. Gale could not tolerate his family hurting others for selfish reasons like wanting a son for heir. Tony and Laura were silenced by Mr. Gale, but Kristen's eyes burned with anger. She started to argue back to Mr. Gale directly.
You preach as if you're some kind of saint, but you're selfish too. You adopted me because you couldn't have your own kids, right? Whether it was good for me didn't matter. That was just adults making decisions for their own convenience.
Kristen clenched her fists and yelled with all her might. I don't know the details, but Mr. Gale is a strict man who apparently didn't spoil Kristen with money or material things. This may be why Kristen feels unloved by her father, as they aren't blood related. Tony and Laura seemed confused as the divorce turmoil had suddenly turned into an argument between Mr. Gale and Kristen. They looked at each other uneasily. Kristen, unable to control her emotions, continued to lash out at Mr. Gale.
You just adopted me for Mom's sake, right? Because she wanted a child? Because she was important to you. I was only being used to satisfy someone else. I'm just a tool to you. Everyone thinks they can just use me.
Although I haven't known Mr. Gale long, he seems like a genuinely good person. Even as an outsider, I think Kristen is wrong, but Mr. Gale quietly listened to her.
What? Aren't you going to say anything? Or do you think what I'm saying isn't even worth responding to?
That's not it. It's not that. I'm actually happy.
Happy? Are you crazy? Or is that some kind of weird hobby?
It's the first time you've spoken honestly to me. You've always been a well-behaved child who didn't need much attention. I used to think you were just a quiet kid, but now I see that's not the case. You must have endured a lot on your own.
His eyes softened as he spoke. Kristen's shoulders trembled slightly.
Yes, I have been strict with you, that's true. I won't make excuses. But it was because I love you. They say the opposite of love is indifference, right? I wouldn't bother saying anything if I didn't care.
Stop it! I can't believe you're saying this now. I've never been loved by my family.
Enough, Kristen. You don't understand anything. Even as an outsider, I can see that Mr. Gale cares about you, yet you just deny it one-sidedly. Right now, you just look like a child throwing a tantrum. I couldn't help but intervene. As a parent myself, I couldn't stand to listen any longer. Being a parent is harder than most can imagine. You can't just quit midway. There's no guarantee of a return for all the effort you pour into your children. Sometimes what you do for their sake can backfire. Even after lovingly raising them, in the end, you have to let go. It's a tough job, isn't it? But the reason parents can keep going is solely the love and responsibility they feel for their children. It's clear that Mr. Gale has more than enough of both, but Kristen seems too stubborn to see the truth right now.
Don't lecture me when you were just dumped by your husband. You're just clinging to him because you can't do anything else. Everything has been taken away from you, and you're just going to keep falling into misery.
The conversation shifted towards me, and seeing that it was their chance, Tony and Laura regained their momentum.
That's right. I don't know much about Kristen's past, but what's certain is that she'll be happy from now on because she's remarrying me.
Yes, Tony is a wonderful man. He was too good for someone like you. Now he can finally start a life with a woman who matches him. I'm looking forward to it. A child's happiness is a parent's happiness.
What they were saying wasn't wrong, but coming from Laura, it sounded insincere. My daughter seemed to think the same, giving her grandmother a cold look. Despite the three showing no signs of remorse, I boldly declared to them, I don't mind. Remarry or do whatever you like, but remember, you'll be the ones regretting it. That's for certain. My husband and his mother swallowed nervously, but still arrogantly took Kristen's hand.
You're complaining it's so lame. Just keep on talking, loser.
Don't bother contacting us anymore. We four, including Tony and Kristen's baby, will live happily together. Goodbye, Dad. I don't think we'll see each other again. Don't expect to see your grandson.
With those final words, the three left the house. After the storm had passed, a silence remained. Mr. Gale was the first to speak.
Patty, Sarah, I'm truly sorry for the rude things my daughter has said.
Please don't apologize. This isn't your fault, Mr. Gale, and it's okay.
What do you mean by it's okay?
Mr. Gale looked puzzled, but I gave him a meaningful smile. There are facts that none of you know yet. They should come to light soon enough. At my words, both Mr. Gale and Sarah could only tilt their heads in confusion. A few days later, I was waiting for a call from my husband at a certain place. It's one of the most luxurious apartments in LA. I quite like the view. It's outstanding. Even if the wait gets long, I doubt I'll get bored. While I was drinking my second cup of coffee, the long-awaited call finally came. I answered with an exceptionally cheerful voice, and then heard my husband's very flustered voice. What's the matter? Calling all of a sudden like this? It's only been a few days since you cut ties with me.
Help me, Patty. Kristen has gone missing.
Oh, really? That sounds serious. But if that's the case, shouldn't you report it to the police? I'm not in the business of finding people, you know.
No, Patty, it's not just that she's gone missing. My ATM cards and credit cards have disappeared too. She had asked me about the pins before, saying we should share important information in case of emergencies. And now my money is being withdrawn like crazy. I don't know what to do.
My husband's words were all over the place, and I just had to laugh. Meanwhile, he continued to rant about something dumb. He seemed utterly clueless and confused. After a good laugh, I finally decided to tell him the truth. You know, Kristen has another man, not just you. She actually has a real boyfriend.
What are you talking about all of a sudden? I'm already so upset. Don't confuse me more.
It's true, and if you want to know, the baby in Kristen's belly isn't yours either.
That's a lie. It has to be. You just have a bad personality, giving me wrong information and looking down, laughing at me like that. You're the worst. I've lost all respect for you.
My husband was so upset he started crying. So I guess Tony and Kristen's romance didn't last long. Is his mother worried? Of course, for me, everything's going according to plan. I'll show you proof that what I'm saying is true. Here's a question for you. Where am I right now?
How should I know? Just go to hell.
Wow, that hurt. But the one who's really going to hell isn't me, it's you. Anyway, the correct answer is right here. I switched to a video call to show my surroundings. Immediately, I could hear my husband scream from the smartphone.
Kristen, why are you with Patty? You two were conspiring against me?
Kristen remained silent, looking down. That's understandable. After all, I now have leverage of her. Tony's not just Kristen here. Let me introduce you to Alex, Kristen's real boyfriend. As I introduced him, Alex appeared on the screen. Yes, I had already made contact with Kristen's actual boyfriend. We had just stormed into Kristen's house together. A louder scream came from the other end.
You bastard. How dare you seduce my Kristen? You have my ATM cards and credit cards, don't you? Give them back now, along with the money you stole. I must say, I didn't know anything about this. Not about your existence, nor the ATM cards or credit cards. I like an explanation about this situation too. Kristen?
Alex glared sharply at Kristen as she kept on looking down.
Kristen? What is going on? Who is this man? Your real boyfriend? That's a lie, right? We loved each other so much. Tell me the truth.
Shut up.
What? I can't hear you.
I said shut up. You delusional jerk. What do you mean we loved each other? I never loved you, not even once. It was all in your head. I was only with you for the money, and you easily cheated on me when you had a wife, you jerk.
My husband was so shocked he could hardly close his mouth. After a long silence, he suddenly slumped over the table and started crying. He continued to cry out like a child, unable to have a proper conversation. Meanwhile, Alex was grilling Kristen, and she fired back in a hostile way, making things worse. I felt the urge to go home and relax over coffee with Sarah, but I couldn't just abandon the job halfway. Since there was no more need for me to say, I quietly left my seat and moved to the hallway. All that was left was to patiently wait for my husband to recover. After he had cried enough, Tony finally raised his swollen face. Just when I thought we could wrap things up, he made a surprising suggestion.
Let's start over, Patty. We can still go back to how we were.
What? What are you talking about?
Taking care of Sarah alone must be financially difficult for you, right? Besides, isn't it better for the family to be together? Mom will surely understand.
How conveniently he speaks of family now. A word that should be warm and loving has turned vile because of him. I laughed at him with all the scorn I could muster. No, I'll pass. Do you have any idea how much you've made me suffer? And it's not just about me. What angers me most is that you hurt Sarah. I never thought you would neglect your own daughter after an affair.
I just really wanted a son. There was no other intention, and it's not too late. If we love each other again, a son will come soon.
Please stop saying such disgusting things. There's not an ounce of love left for you and me. I can't even stand to breathe the same air as you, let alone touch you. And you keep talking about a son. But isn't that completely unnecessary now?
What do you mean?
Your misconduct is already well known among our company and business partners. It's being viewed as a problem everywhere, so it's only a matter of time before our existing deals are canceled. Soon you'll struggle with cash flow and the business will become unmanageable. If the company falls apart, what's the use of an heir? After that, my husband was silent and seemed stunned. I finished with all the sarcasm I could muster. The only family you have left is your mother. Make sure to get along with her. I pressed the end call button and left Kristen's house. That was the last time I saw my husband. The clear blue sky seemed even more beautiful today. After that, my husband was shunned by everyone from his company and business partners. As expected, the company faced financial difficulties and quickly decided to fold. Tony and Laura's once strong bond took a hit when they started struggling with money, and now they're stuck in a cycle of arguing. The industry spread rumors about my husband, and he has no prospects for re-employment. Laura has never worked a part-time job, so she can hardly start working now, and does nothing but complain at home. My husband manages to get by on day labor, but his standard of living continues to decline. Both he and his relationship with his mother got worse, and it seems they will lead a difficult life forever. For those who saw their child as a mere tool, this was a fitting end. Meanwhile, Kristen did give birth safely, but eventually broke up with Alex, her real boyfriend. Perhaps Alex was a decent man. If suddenly you find out your girlfriend was cheating and stole from another, it's normal to want to avoid getting involved in that mess. While he's someone I don't really know, I do hope he finds happiness. After breaking up with Alex, Kristen, who has never worked properly, has no choice but to rely on her father, Robert. But being a strict man, both to himself and others, Robert did not coddle her, but rather pushed her away. Of course, this isn't to say he abandoned her. Robert loves Kristen, which is why he wants her to acknowledge her mistakes, reflect, and live an honest life. I am indebted to Robert as well. I can only hope that some of his wishes reach her. As for me, I now live peacefully with my daughter. While we aren't rich, living without fear of living with toxic family members is truly comfortable. I want to give my daughter all the attention she missed out on. Years later, I was lucky enough to get remarried with my current husband and was blessed with a son. Looking at our son, I am reminded that there are people who can't have kids, despite their desires, and that pregnancy and childbirth are sacred things. These are things I must never forget. Going forward, I would cherish the miracle of my children's birth and vow to find happiness with my new family.
I'm going to remarry my 18-year-old girlfriend. You're in the way, so disappear. What? So, you want a divorce, is that it? Exactly. What is that? Don't joke about things like that. You guys have always treated me carelessly, haven't you? It's too late to get flustered after I've brought up divorce. What? I'm not flustered at all. I'm actually mad that you brought up divorce to Mom first. Don't raise your voice so much. How can you stay so calm? I'm angry too. Got it. Shall we get divorced then? Oh, you'll grant me a divorce? That makes things easier. What? Mom? Is that okay? After years of juggling child-rearing, shuttling kids to extracurricular activities, and caring for my father-in-law, my husband suddenly proposed a divorce. When I casually agreed to the divorce and mentioned it too lightly, my eldest daughter shouted in surprise. Ethan was alone, celebrating with a fist pump. My eldest daughter seemed not to understand my words, but this is fine. If everything goes as I expect, everything should resolve smoothly. In reality, a month after I blocked his calls, my ex-husband came to our house. I am a 37-year-old part-time worker. I married Ethan, who is 2 years older than me, when I was 24 due to a shotgun wedding, and we were blessed with 2 children after the marriage. Our daughter Kristen, who turns 13 this year, has started middle school, and our son Ted has turned 6 and started elementary school. With the children reaching middle and elementary school ages, childcare should have become a bit easier, but the birth of our second son, Sean, 2 years ago has kept us in a constant state of busyness. However, I have strong support, so I can manage household chores, childcare, and work. Ted. You need your gym bag today, right? Prepare it yourself. I'll prepare it after breakfast. That's what you said last week, but you forgot it, didn't you? Prepare it first. Seeing me always busy, my eldest daughter naturally started to support me. She is already showing the temperament of a tough mother, even more maternal than I am. I rely on my eldest daughter's help with childcare, which honestly helps a lot. However, I also feel pathetic having to rely on a child for help with childcare. Still, I depend on my eldest daughter because I am also caring for George, my father-in-law. Megan, I'm sorry, but I need to go to the toilet. Can you take me? Understood. Let's get up slowly then. I'm always sorry about this. My father-in-law always looks apologetic towards me. However, I have never considered him a burden. Though he requires care, he is only weak in the legs and can manage daily activities with some support. Thus, it's more about support than care, really. George is 70, and my mother-in-law Dorothy is 68. Since my mother-in-law alone can't fully support him, our family has been living with my in-laws for about 3 years now. Living with my in-laws is often fraught with trouble, but fortunately, it hasn't involved me much. Welcome home, thanks for the hard work, Bert. Lunch is ready, you'll eat, right? Thank you. I appreciate it, as always. We're the ones being helped here, don't worry about it. Oh, by the way, I fixed a button on Ted's uniform that had come off. I did it without asking, I hope that was okay? You fixed it? That's very helpful, thank you. My mother-in-law supports us with housework and childcare. Also, my father-in-law entertains my eldest son when he returns from school. When I was pregnant with my second son, they helped me a lot. Though we came to my in-laws to support them, it feels like the roles have completely reversed. Therefore, I feel indebted to my in-laws, but they always say not to worry about it. I'm always causing trouble, I know. Living with your husband's parents must be tough, but you accepted us. I'm truly grateful. That's right. I couldn't support him alone. Besides, we're happy to live with our grandchildren. You might think we're helping you with housework and childcare, but that's not it. We do it because we enjoy it, and it brings us joy. After 3 years of living with my in-laws, I've been leading a busy yet enjoyable life. However, there is one thing I'm concerned about. In these 3 years, my husband's attitude has gradually changed. One morning, it was a usual scene. You didn't hand over the notice from yesterday, did you? I always tell you to make sure to hand it over. I just forgot yesterday. Megan. I'm sorry, but could you buy some sewing thread at the dollar store on your way back from work today? Understood. Could you also buy a new nail clipper? The one we're using now is getting dull. This ordinary scene seems to annoy my husband. You have it good, getting help with the housework and childcare. How can you say that? You don't help, so you wouldn't know, but household chores and childcare are tough. Plus, I even have to go to work. Work. It's just an easy part-time job, isn't it? What's the matter with you? Did something bad happen at work? What? Dad, are you taking it out on us? It's not like that. Some people handle housework, childcare, and work all by themselves, so I just mean don't be too spoiled. After placing his toast back on the plate, my husband left for work. I get complaints from my husband. He seems displeased that I receive help from my eldest daughter and my in-laws. However, since my eldest daughter and in-laws are on my side, my husband often retreats in a bad mood. Feeling uncomfortable without allies, he has started to reduce his time at home. Welcome home. You're late again today. What about dinner? I don't need it. I'm just going to take a shower and go to sleep. My husband comes home late and has started to go out alone on weekends. He sulks because he doesn't have the family's support, although it's his own attitude that causes this, making it feel like a fourth child has emerged. But my husband is almost 40, an adult, and a father. I can't deal with him sulking like a child forever. Hey, even if you don't help with the housework, could you at least help a little with the childcare? Ask your mom and them for that. Kristen has started going to cram school, right? I have to pick her up because she gets home late. And Ted has joined a soccer club, hasn't he? Sometimes on weekends, I have to take him a bit far for practice games. I can't really ask your mother to do the driving, can I? I'm not doing any driving around. Why should I have to drive the kids around at night or on weekends when I'm tired from work? You have a part-time job and you can drive, so you should do it. If I take the kids to and from their activities, I won't be able to do anything at home. I'll have to rely even more on your parents. I understand you're tired from work, but please, help a little. You said you'd help when the kids started their activities, didn't you? I said I'd pay for it. If you can't drive them, then make them quit their activities. My husband's dissatisfaction is directed not only at me, but also at the children who don't take his side. It seems the biggest child of all requires the most attention. Since I can't make the children quit their activities, I decided to handle their transportation myself. But I can't rely on my in-laws any more than I already do. So, I try to keep from adding to their burden as much as possible. However, the driving, taking 1 to 2 hours each time, inevitably cuts into the efficiency of my housework and childcare. To make up for the lost efficiency, I've started waking up early and cutting back on sleep to get housework and childcare done. I use every spare moment for housework and childcare. Exhausted from non-stop housework and childcare, I also go to my part-time job and continue to support my father-in-law. This unsustainable effort can't continue forever. Having reached my limit just on grit, I consulted my husband again, but he flatly refused, saying, "What? I told you I wouldn't do the driving." So, I continue to transport the children, hiding my fatigue. I'm home. Welcome back. Well done, Megan. Are you okay? Isn't the driving tough? I'm fine. I'll get dinner ready. I force a smile to hide my fatigue. I can't rely on my in-laws any more than I already do. I know I should openly rely on my in-laws, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Unfortunately, bad things seem to happen one after another. My father-in-law suddenly passed away from acute myocardial infarction. At the hospital, my daughter, my mother-in-law, and I cried as we looked at my father-in-law, who had passed away in his sleep. My son was teary-eyed and looked down in silence. It's understandable that 2-year-old Sean doesn't grasp the situation and looks confused. However, why is my husband grinning? Well, Dad was over 70, so it can't be helped, right? No more needing to help with the toilet or the bath. Let's try to think positively. My husband is not the kind of person who makes jokes to cheer us up. He probably means what he said. Even if it were a joke, it would be in extremely poor taste. But right now, sadness overwhelmingly outweighs anger. So, we ignored my husband and mourned the loss of my father-in-law. We better get started on the funeral arrangements. Our reaction probably wasn't what he had hoped for. He left the hospital room with a dismissive remark, increasing the emotional distance between us and him. "I'll be late again today, so I don't need dinner." 2 years after my father-in-law's death, my husband continues to do as he pleases, still not helping with housework or childcare, and I'm still doing the driving for our 2 children and now also for Sean to kindergarten. Moreover, he comes home later than before, sometimes doesn't return on weekends, and has become even more reckless with money. Hey! Did you use the household money again? So what? Most of that money is what I earned, isn't it? We have 3 kids, you know? We still need a lot of money, so stop wasting it. Shut up. You should just keep quiet and take care of the house. Our relationship had already cooled off. But we haven't divorced yet, partly because of the children, but also because I'm worried about my mother-in-law. I'm sorry that Ethan keeps causing trouble. You can dump him anytime, you know? My mother-in-law sometimes tells me it's okay to divorce, but if we were to divorce, my husband and mother-in-law would be left alone. I'm worried about leaving my kindly mother-in-law alone with such a husband. So, whenever she brings up divorce, I just laugh it off. What are you saying? Even if my relationship with my husband has cooled, having 3 adorable children and a kind mother-in-law is enough for me. However, the time to end such a life has come. My mother-in-law has suffered a stroke. Though her life was saved, my mother-in-law developed cognitive impairment as a result of her condition. The view from that mountain is really beautiful. I really love that view. I went there last week. Wow, really? I'd like to see that view from the mountain someday too. My eldest daughter listens to her grandmother with a smile. However, my mother-in-law did not go to the mountain last week. Due to her cognitive impairment from the stroke, she also has memory issues and talks about trips from years ago as if they happened recently. Moreover, she repeats the same story multiple times. My eldest daughter continues to listen with a smile until my mother-in-law is satisfied. Did Mom finish her meal? It took a long time today. Yeah. But she wasn't slow eating, she was just caught up in her stories. I see. That's a sign she's still energetic. We need to keep her healthy. Right. But I'm a bit worried. Earlier, she reached out her hand to a completely different place from her spoon. To keep her healthy, we need to cover for her like that. I was worried whether I could provide enough support when my mother-in-law fell, but my eldest daughter helps with the caregiving and the household chores, so we're managing. Seeing how my daughter supports me, my eldest son has also started to take care of his younger brother. I've come to realize that this is what it means to support each other as a family. It's just unfortunate that my husband's cooperation isn't part of this. Why doesn't that guy help with anything around the house? Even Ted is looking after Sean. Don't call your father that guy. Father? Can someone like him even be called a father? It's no wonder my eldest daughter is exasperated with her husband. Well, I think it's much better than being bothered by him. My husband still comes home late and goes out on weekends. It's a problem that he spends money, but I'm not interested in what he does outside. So, it's better for me if he just stays uninvolved. Thinking this, I had been ignoring my husband, but about 6 months after my mother-in-law's fall, my husband dropped a huge bombshell on our family. I'm going to remarry my 18-year-old girlfriend. You're in the way, so disappear. What? My husband, returning home after the kids had gone to bed, suddenly confronted me with a divorce. I was speechless, my mind went blank. Though I've been managing household chores, childcare, and work with some help since coming to live with my in-laws. I also took care of my father-in-law, and now I'm caring for my mother-in-law. Do I really have to be confronted with a divorce from a husband who hasn't helped with the house or his parents at all? And to remarry an 18-year-old? No matter how hard I try, I can't understand what my husband is saying. So, you want a divorce, is that it? Exactly. What is that? Don't joke about things like that. I thought she was asleep, but my eldest daughter had been awake. She couldn't stand our conversation and burst in. You guys have always treated me carelessly, haven't you? It's too late to get flustered after I've brought up divorce. What? I'm not flustered at all. I'm actually mad that you brought up divorce to Mom first. My eldest daughter's anger was so strong, I couldn't even talk to my husband. It's nice that she's angry for me, but this could wake up my sons. Kristen, don't raise your voice so much. How can you stay so calm? I'm angry too. First, let your father and I talk, so go back to your room. No. I'm staying here. It seemed my eldest daughter had no intention of leaving the room. She quieted down but crossed her arms and continued to glare at her father without moving. It's not ideal to discuss divorce in front of the kids, but it can't be helped. So, you've been coming home late and going out on weekends for that girlfriend, huh? Yes. We've been together for about a year now. She's a girl who works part-time at my regular pub. Unlike you, she's friendly and kind. That should be called an affair, not a relationship, but that's not the point I want to emphasize. She's still 18, right? Are her parents okay with this? Her parents are strongly opposed. If she marries me, they're going to disown her. How can you marry without her parents' consent? We don't need her parents' consent. We can get married. That's why we've been patiently dating this past year. It's not about the law, but about human connections and decency. I was at a loss, unable to understand my husband. Looking at my daughter's face, she had an expression of complete disbelief. So, her parents don't agree, but you've confirmed her feelings, right? Yes, of course. We love each other. I didn't need to hear that. I don't want her to say too much in front of my daughter. At this point, I don't care about the divorce or the affair. What worries me is my mother-in-law after the divorce. I looked at a photo of my mother-in-law on a shelf in the corner of the room. It was taken when she was healthy, smiling on a mountain hike. Looking at my mother-in-law's smiling face, I remembered she had always said I could leave my husband anytime. Understood. So, shall we get divorced? Oh, you'll grant me a divorce? That makes things easier. What? Mom? Is that okay? My casual agreement to the divorce and my light mention of it shocked my eldest daughter. Ethan was alone, celebrating with a fist pump. I can't accept this. This is fine. What's fine? This is fine. I repeated the same words, trying to communicate with my eyes to my eldest daughter that I wasn't just accepting the divorce. It seemed my feelings had reached her, who had been with me as family. However, my husband, who hadn't been part of us as a family, failed to notice the silent conversation between my daughter and me. If everything goes as I expect, everything should work out smoothly. The decision to divorce is made, but there are children involved, and we need to discuss the details. Therefore, I cannot leave the house immediately. Of course, it's okay for me to take the children, right? Obviously. Better take them away. They're just a nuisance. Understood. But it's impossible to just take the children and leave immediately, so wait a bit. Then, you can stay here until you find a place to move. I'll be spending time with my girlfriend. But get out in 2 weeks. I can't have you sticking around forever. As my husband left the house happily, my eldest daughter looked at me anxiously. It's okay. Do you think a person like that can be happy? Surely, your grandfather in heaven will punish him. I tried to alleviate my daughter's anxiety with a smile. Seeing me smile, she too smiled back, reassured. The next day, I reported the divorce to my mother-in-law. Mother, I'm sorry. I've decided to get a divorce. It's okay. I'm sorry for all the trouble up to now. Though the conversation went on, my mother-in-law probably didn't fully grasp its meaning. Yet, her words were comforting to me. 2 weeks later, I left the house with my 3 children. The place we moved to wasn't far from my in-laws. This was to avoid changing the children's schools and to continue my part-time job, but there was another reason as well. The divorce proceeded smoothly as I didn't press the issue of the affair. I thought it more important to quickly sever ties with my husband and ensure a smooth transition to receiving child support, rather than arguing about compensation. However, in return for not fussing about the affair, I took most of our savings and the car. My ex-husband, eager to start his life with his 18-year-old new wife, accepted these terms without fully understanding how much it would cost him later. Mom, you think about 2 months? I think about 1 month. You think he lacks that much persistence? Surely he can last about 2 months, right? I explained to my daughter why I divorced her father so easily. Satisfied with my explanation, she looked forward to that time. A month after the divorce, my ex-husband called my smartphone. See, just about a month. Not yet. I don't think he's been pushed to his limit yet. Let's wait and see. After that, my ex-husband started bombarding me with calls. At night, he would call every 10 minutes. It became impossible to relax at home, so I blocked his number. Since I had told him where we lived, there wouldn't be a problem if he couldn't reach me by phone. When he was driven to his limit, he would surely come to the house. A month after blocking him, my ex-husband finally showed up at our house. Please. Come back. I was wrong. Through the intercom, my husband pleaded loudly for help. It was night, and to avoid bad rumors in the neighborhood, I reluctantly let him into the house to talk. I sent the younger son to another room with the eldest, and I listened to my ex-husband's story with my daughter. Well, it was probably just as I had expected. I have an idea of what happened, but could you explain it anyway? After you guys left, I started living with my remarriage partner and my mom, just the 3 of us at her home. But the new wife couldn't handle taking care of mom and gave up, right? Yes. I didn't think she'd give up so easily, even middle schooler Kristen could do it. You know. It's obvious, isn't it? Taking care of parents isn't about persistence. Kristen could take care of mom because we've always lived as a family. I could take care of your parents because they were kind to me and felt like my real parents. Did you really think that just getting married and saying, "This is your mother-in-law, take care of her," would work? That is. You probably pushed all the housework onto her too, right? Anyone would hate that. Especially an 18-year-old. So? Did you divorce her already? No, we hadn't registered the marriage yet, we were planning to on our anniversary. Lucky for her, then. She dumped you easily, huh? I've been there, and I know that young women can find older men attractive. I bet the 18-year-old new wife was serious about marrying my ex-husband. Otherwise, she wouldn't have fought her parents' opposition and moved in with my in-laws. She must have been informed about my mother-in-law beforehand. However, the reality of married life and caregiving must have been much harder than she imagined. For an 18-year-old with little life experience, it would be tough to overcome such trials. If they were to make their married life successful, my ex-husband's support would have been crucial, but he helped with nothing. Moreover, it's dubious whether he even explained the situation adequately or prepared her appropriately. But she cut ties with her parents to marry you, right? How are you planning to take responsibility? Her parents said they'd cut ties, but they didn't in the end. Now she's being sheltered by them. Sheltered? What do you mean? Did you? Of course, I went after her when she left the house. But her parents said, our daughter is scared, so don't come anymore. This is a marital issue. It's natural for us to discuss it together. Yet, they say if I persist, they'll consult a lawyer. A 40-year-old man pressuring an 18-year-old girl is scary enough. If a daughter runs back home from a man, it's natural for parents to protect her. Moreover, the mention of a lawyer instead of the police shows how serious her parents are. The police cannot act without evidence of harm, but involving a lawyer might make it easier for them to intervene, and even if the police do not act, a civil lawsuit might be possible. Moreover, although people may speak of cutting ties, family bonds are not so easily severed. I cannot imagine ever cutting ties with my children, no matter what they do. However, my ex-husband seems to be someone who can imagine cutting ties with his children. I don't care about you and your new wife anymore. But you came here alone, is Grandma okay? Mom's already asleep, so she's fine. I've also installed a monitoring camera. Grandma is alone at home? I can't believe it. Give me the keys now. My eldest daughter snatched the keys from my ex-husband and rushed to our mother-in-law's place without stopping. What are you thinking? I'm at my limit. Whatever I do, you ask about Megan? About Kristen? About Ted and Sean? Suddenly she starts saying things that make no sense. My wife ran away, and I can't take care of Mom alone anymore. Please, come back. The reason Mom doesn't rely on you and calls our names instead, is it because you couldn't be the family she needed? Being related by blood doesn't make you family. If you were really family, you'd understand what Mom wants to say. Kristen and I have never thought Mom was saying nonsense. Realizing how foolish his actions had been, my ex-husband hung his head and fell silent. If my ex-husband has come to regret his past actions, that's an ideal turn of events for me. I handed him a brochure I had prepared. I have no intention of remarrying you. But you can't take care of Mom, can you? How about we get her into a care facility? I suggested to my ex-husband that we place our mother-in-law in a nearby care facility. It would be much safer for her to be there than with my incapable ex-husband. Additionally, visiting her at the facility would allow us to see her without having to meet my ex-husband. The brochure I handed to my ex-husband was for a facility near our house. We hadn't moved too far away after leaving the marital home, partly for this reason. Okay. I'll do that. With this, I achieved my goal. I managed to divorce and ensure that my children and I could see my mother-in-law whenever we wanted. Shall we head to your house then? What does that mean? My ex-husband, mistakenly thinking that his remorse and regret had moved me, hoped for a positive response. Don't misunderstand. I'm going to pick up Kristen. She rushed out suddenly earlier, and since it's night, even if it's close by, it's natural for me to go pick up our child, right? Realizing he had been mistaken, my ex-husband's shoulders fell. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. It had been 2 months since we last visited the family home, but I didn't meet with my mother-in-law, I simply picked up my eldest daughter and returned home. We can meet with my mother-in-law anytime now, so hearing from my daughter was enough for now. Grandma said she went to the mountain yesterday too. She's still so lively, huh? It's not fair that only sister gets to see Grandma. I wanted to see Grandma too. It's late now, so be patient. We'll be able to see Grandma from now on. It looks like your plan worked, didn't it? Yes, this way I managed to separate that man from Grandma. As I drove home, thinking about being able to meet Grandma again made me happy, and I found myself humming a tune. Later, my mother-in-law was admitted to the care facility. Mother, how are you feeling? Any changes? Yes, I've been feeling quite well recently. According to the staff at the facility, my mother-in-law had been somber and quiet right after admission. However, as my children and I began visiting, her mood lightened and she started talking more. With my mother-in-law in the facility, my ex-husband was left living alone at the family home. It seems he finally gave up on the new wife after her parents threatened to consult a lawyer. I'm just relieved he didn't become a stalker. However, the girl must have been quite frightened. While I understand his desire not to lose a young wife, as an adult, he should have known when to step back. Later, I learned that around the time my ex-husband started complaining and behaving strangely, he had made a major mistake at work. It was a big enough blunder to push him into a less influential position at his company. Feeling ostracized at work while I managed home affairs smoothly with family support apparently didn't sit well with him. As he began to complain, finding no allies at home either, he ended up relying on a teenager. Being relied upon by a younger person probably made him feel validated. Such childish reasons indeed. Also, it seems that not only his wife but also his mother had forsaken him. Nice to meet you. It's a lovely day, isn't it? Despite clearly remembering us, it seems my mother-in-law has forgotten that my ex-husband is her son. His childlike behavior led to our divorce and ultimately left him truly alone. Now alone, my ex-husband's mental state worsened, and he continued to make mistakes at work. One mistake led to another, resulting in demotion and pay cuts. Given his mental state, he probably should take a break from work, but he can't afford to. Since I took most of our savings in exchange for not fussing about the affair during our divorce, he's left without much money. Still, he needs to work to pay the child support for our 3 kids and the care facility fees for my mother-in-law. Being without support is a tough situation. To support the 3 kids, I found a job. Sean is still small, but Kristen and Ted help look after him. Having real support is truly reassuring.
Mom, Dad. I need to tell you something. I'm paralyzed from the waist down. I don't want to burden Kristen with caregiving, so I'm thinking of getting a divorce. I'm truly sorry. When the in-laws and I visited, Tyler revealed this with a despairing expression. Having met with a traffic accident while on a business trip. Hearing the heartbreaking news, his parents collapsed to their knees, lamenting their son's misfortune but quickly stood up again. Don't worry, Tyler. We are here for you. Kristen will support you too. The parents turned and looked at me, their eyes conveying a message of mutual support. Soon after, my unexpected response left them speechless. No, I'm actually single now. Tyler said he doesn't want to burden me with caregiving, but I never intended to do it. Not at all. My emotionally flat words seemed out of place, and at that moment, a sharp slap hit my left cheek. Not now, Kristen. Don't joke when your husband will never walk again. How can you say something so cold without batting an eye? Calm down, honey. Violence is not the answer. And remember, the next room might hear us, though I share your feelings. Kristen. It seems like you don't care at all. Isn't this the time for family to support each other? Supporting each other as a family. How wonderful that would have been. But my husband and his parents knew nothing, whereas I knew everything. Still expressionless, I was filled with anger inside. The in-laws glared at me, waiting for what I would say next. Being slapped by the mother-in-law was unexpected. But if they knew nothing of our circumstances, their reaction might seem normal. However, I had resolved to tell the truth. I took a deep breath and began to talk about everything that had happened. Let me explain everything, one by one. Could you please look at this? I pulled out a piece of paper I had prepared and showed it to the in-laws. The mother-in-law took it with a puzzled look. Is this a medical report? Indeed, it was a medical report from the time I had been to the hospital, just as she had said. Upon reviewing its contents, they showed expressions of shock. Did you hurt your head? How? What happened exactly? And it wasn't even that long ago. This is from when Tyler hit me, and I hit my head on a desk, requiring surgery. The moment I revealed this, both of them gasped in shock. He hit you? Tyler hit you? What in the world happened? Meanwhile, Tyler couldn't hide his disturbance from my revelations, his eyes darting around. Wait. Kristen, what are you talking about? Tyler tried to speak as if he knew nothing. But I ignored him and began to reveal the mistreatment I had endured from him. What I'm about to say may be hard for you to believe. Because Tyler always acted like a good husband in front of you. I'm not acting. Why would you say that, Kristen? We thought Tyler was a good husband. Was he different with you? Yes, he was. In the beginning, he eagerly did housework and was a very kind husband. But about a year after we married, he started ignoring me and verbally abusing me, and it hasn't stopped. As I explained without changing my expression, my husband denied the mistreatment. What are you talking about? When did I ever mistreat you? Tyler mistreating you? I can't believe it. It can't be Tyler. The in-laws were visibly distressed and confused. No wonder. They had always seen his good husband act, which was flawless. Furthermore, I heard that Tyler was straightforward and kind from his childhood. And he never went through a rebellious phase. So, even I hadn't expected them to believe what I said without evidence. Then I made my next move, pulling out a small device from my bag and asking the in-laws. Do you know what this is? Some kind of small device. I've never seen this. What is it? They were puzzled and questioned me further. Then I asked Tyler. Do you know what this is, Tyler? Could it be? He might have realized what it was, and I revealed the device's true nature. As Tyler seems to realize, this is a surveillance camera. Amazing, isn't it? Nowadays, you can get such high-quality, tiny devices easily. Seeing Tyler's panicked expression, I didn't miss it. He must have underestimated me, thinking I couldn't do anything significant. As I stared at him, he met my gaze. The fear was contained in his gaze, unlike when he was mistreating me. To further drive the point home, I pulled out a tablet and started playing a video. Let's watch this, shall we? Wait. What are you planning to do? Tyler's face turned visibly pale, realizing what I had recorded. Indeed, the video showed numerous instances of him mistreating me. And the playback now captured the decisive moment when he raised his hand against me. Don't laugh without my permission. If you laugh in front of me again, it won't end just like this. Understood. With a loud smack and his angry voice echoing. The video showed me collapsing from the pain and fear of being hit in the face. I then hit my head on the corner of the desk, bleeding from the wound. But Tyler didn't care, he slammed the door loudly and left the room. Shocked by the disturbing footage, the in-laws' faces turned pale. It's understandable. They had believed their son was a good husband. Yet what unfolded before them was unimaginable. The grotesqueness of the video was enough to make one nauseous, possibly wounding the in-laws' hearts deeply. This can't be true. Tyler, what have you done? Even when I was injured, Tyler did nothing for me. So I had to apply first aid myself and go to a hospital that was open at night all by myself. The in-laws looked at my husband with disbelief. Tyler, avoiding eye contact, remained silent uncomfortably. Since the mistreatment began, Tyler would get angry whenever I showed any emotion, whether laughing or crying. Just on that day, he saw me laughing unconsciously at a message from a friend and hit me. He had often told me not to laugh without his permission. Whenever I laugh even a little, Tyler gets upset and hits me or lashes out at objects. This isn't the only instance of his mistreatment I've recorded. If you still can't trust this, I can show you more. No, I believe it. That's definitely Tyler. They were in disbelief that their son could treat his wife so cruelly. Both remained silent, their faces pale. I continued to explain the facts without changing my expression. There's no escaping it, right? It's all perfectly captured on video. If it weren't for this, you would have made excuses. That's why I set up the surveillance camera. This video, along with the diagnosis I showed earlier, serves as sufficient evidence of the mistreatment I endured. Recording without permission. What are you trying to achieve by doing this? Isn't it obvious? I want your parents to see the true nature you've been desperately hiding. Finally, Tyler began to show his true nature in front of his parents, but there was more to reveal. There are more videos I'd like you to see. Could we watch the next one? What's next? I then played another video. It showed Tyler in his office, seemingly doing some paperwork. No way. He realized it showed him signing a divorce petition. After finishing, he stored it on a shelf next to his desk. As you can see, Tyler had prepared a divorce petition himself. And what I did with it, you probably can guess. Indeed, I had secretly taken the divorce petition while he was away on his business trip and filed it at the law office. The divorce petition has been officially accepted. So, I am already single. I reaffirmed the facts to the in-laws. It seemed they now understood that I had been expressionless all this time due to the mistreatment. The mother-in-law put her hand on my back and said, "I can't believe this. So that's why you always looked so expressionless, Kristen. I'm sorry we didn't realize." The in-laws are kind people. Now that they knew the truth, tears welled up in their eyes. They then turned to Tyler and sternly asked him to explain himself. They seemed to fully believe my story now. "Tyler, what have you been doing to Kristen? I didn't raise you to be such a person. What's going on with you as an adult? Explain yourself properly." Realizing he couldn't dodge the situation, Tyler began to speak, his voice breaking. "Actually, I've been harassed by my boss and colleagues at work. It's been hard to even go to work every day, but I can't quit my job. I couldn't talk to anyone about it." Harassment? The anger on her face softened slightly, perhaps as a mother concerned about her son. He continued to speak. "The business trip was actually meant for a colleague, but it was pushed onto me. I've also been blamed for mistakes at work that weren't my fault. And others have stolen credit for my accomplishments. I can't get their laughing at me out of my head. So that's why you told Kristen not to laugh." She seemed pained by her son's account. Her previously angry face turned into one of concern. Tyler, with tears streaming down his face, continued. "I had no escape, so I created one by mistreating Kristen at home. I've been terrible to her. I'm sorry. I was out of line. I truly apologize." Tyler repeatedly apologized on the bed, showing his remorse. I was a bit worried that his apology might sway his parents' feelings. But that was just my needless worry. I understand your point, but that confirms the mistreatment, right? Shameful. A grown man shouldn't take out his stress on his wife. Apologize to Kristen sincerely. When they heard from his own mouth that the mistreatment was a fact, they exploded more angry than before. Tyler had perhaps hoped to divert the anger of his parents towards something other than himself by garnering their sympathy. However, he likely hadn't anticipated that this would backfire. No matter the reasons Tyler had, they didn't justify his mistreatment of his wife. Although the in-laws didn't vocalize it, they surely thought as much. Caught off guard by their continued anger, Tyler hastily apologized to them as well. Dad, Mom, I'm sorry for letting you down. Kristen, I really am sorry. I'll make sure to pay the alimony. Paying alimony is the least you can do. Kristen, I'm truly sorry for what our fool of a son has done. We are really sorry. We will make sure he takes responsibility. The in-laws joined in the apologies. It was reassuring to see that they were reasonable people. It would have been unbearable if they had sided with Tyler. But Tyler's apology was not enough. Determined to pursue my next course of revenge, I spoke up. Please, look up. There's no need for you two to apologize. More importantly, don't be deceived. What Tyler has done isn't just what you've seen. Not just this. What else has he done? The in-laws looked confused again. The mother-in-law seemed both angry and flabbergasted by her son's actions. In the midst of this tense atmosphere, I abruptly left the hospital room. Now, the real performance begins. 5 minutes later, Tyler was astounded. I returned to the room with a woman in tow. For Tyler, my bringing this woman was unexpected. Let me introduce you. This is Mia, Tyler's mistress. What? Not only did he mistreat his wife, but he was also unfaithful? Tyler. What is the meaning of this? How much more can you disappoint us? The in-laws were unable to hide their shock and began to interrogate Tyler. He was visibly distraught and denied knowing the mistress. What are you talking about? I don't know this woman. Is this some kind of misunderstanding, Kristen? Did you really think I knew nothing? You're quite naive. I asked with a cold tone, and he trembled slightly, looking down. I had anticipated that he would not immediately admit to the affair. Without hesitation, I played another video on the tablet. No, stop that. The video showed Tyler and Mia engaging in an affair inside his car. This was recorded by a camera I had installed in his car. Faced with this conclusive evidence, Tyler frantically tried to stop the video. But being paralyzed, he couldn't snatch the tablet from me. I had surveillance cameras not just in our house, but also in your car. You've gone too far. I had to do this much, otherwise, you would keep getting away with things, wouldn't you? And this isn't the only video. It seems you've used the car quite often for your escapades. Thanks for the substantial evidence. I had sensed signs of an affair as I monitored the cameras at home, leading me to suspect that his mistreatment stemmed from his infidelity. So I had also placed cameras in the car. With this, Tyler's affair was confirmed. And I began collecting evidence seriously, which led us to today. I have more than enough evidence in my hands. With Tyler unable to speak out in his defense, I continued to expose more truths to his parents. The reason Mia could come here so quickly is that she's hospitalized in the next room. Tyler said he had an accident during a business trip, but it was a complete lie. It was actually an accident during a trip he took with his mistress. Fortunately for her, she only sustained minor injuries. While Tyler ended up paralyzed, Mia was unscathed. Knowing that I was aware of everything, Tyler remained silent. An affair trip? So, this entire situation is his own doing. He's reaping what he sowed. It's punishment for his actions. The in-laws' anger reached its peak. The mother-in-law's fists were trembling with rage. I then made it clear to Tyler. In regards to our divorce, I'll be claiming alimony and property division. Of course, I don't need your consent to demand it. Tyler remained silent, but all he could do was acknowledge his guilt and apologize. Otherwise, his wounds would only deepen. Though I looked at silent Tyler with pity, he unexpectedly lashed out in a fit of rage. Up until then, he had been silent, but suddenly, he became defiant and started berating me. Fine. If you want to separate that badly, we'll get divorced. After all, I only married you to be a housekeeper. Telling me that now doesn't bother me at all? Besides, I've already filed for divorce, so we are strangers now. Is that so? Good riddance then. I was planning to dump you once you became unnecessary. Mia showed up, and you became obsolete. I'll pay the alimony and property division, so just disappear. Fine. I'll be leaving then. Make sure of your payment. No longer needing to play the good husband, Tyler hurled insults one after another. Despite being ridiculed by him, my expression remained unchanged as I left the hospital room. However, inside, I felt a sense of relief that it was finally over. And the clouds of frustration towards him had somewhat cleared. As I walked away lightly from the room, someone called out to me. Wait. Kristen. Even without turning around, I recognized it was the mother-in-law. Mother, you don't need to chase after me. I'm fine. It's not just about Tyler. I slapped you earlier without knowing everything. I'm really sorry. Please accept my apology. The mother-in-law knelt down and apologized. Please, get up. There's no need for that, especially in front of others. But I'm truly grateful that you and father-in-law took my side instead of Tyler's. Thank you for that. It's only natural. To think he was such a horrible person. I feel so ashamed as a parent. Kristen. I am truly sorry. As she spoke, the mother-in-law, with tears streaming down her face, hugged me. I wonder where we went wrong in raising him. We will make sure he pays the money and will persuade him to properly apologize to you, Kristen. I promise. For starters, I'm going back to the hospital room to slap him a few times. Her anger didn't seem to have subsided at all. The in-laws promised they would persuade their son to apologize, but I responded. Thank you. But please, rest assured. There's no need for you both to go out of your way. What do you mean? Do you have a good way to discipline him? Yes. Just wait and see. Indeed, my husband will be cornered in the future without me having to do anything. I know everything, as I've said many times before. A few days later, I was waiting for a phone call at my new home. I had missed calls and emails from Tyler multiple times, but I also had my own schedule. I had set a date and time when I could take a call from him. When the appointed time came, he called. He was panicked and disheveled, barely making sense. Calm down. What happened? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Mia ran off with my money. I can't reach her no matter how many times I call, and I don't know where she went. With my condition, I can't even go out to look for her. What am I supposed to do now? I see. What kind of response is that? Do you know something? In response to his frantic questions, I told him the truth. Actually, I knew this would happen. In fact, I had spoken with Mia a few months ago. At that time, she thought Tyler was single, because he had told her he was. She was very surprised to find out he was married. From her reactions, it was clear that Mia was not lying. And Mia said something back then. She called you just a cash cow. That can't be true, right? Mia had intended to use Tyler and discard him, just as he had planned to do with me. Knowing Mia's scheme, I asked her to cooperate. I asked her to pretend to be unaware of anything and date him until my revenge was complete. Mia agreed, and Tyler, unaware of her scheme, believed they were really in a relationship. This means that by the time of the incident at the hospital, she was already fully aware of the situation. What? You must be joking. Sneaking around and deceiving me. Is that what a wife does? What are you talking about? You were the one who tried to discard me first, right? What goes around comes around. If you use people and throw them away, you can't complain when the same is done to you. This time, he had nothing to say back. There was no way he could. Always thinking about himself. Does he want to say that a wife is inferior to her husband? How blind can he be? How much does he need to hurt others before he's satisfied? If he doesn't change his ways, his life is over. But that's no longer my concern. My only wish is for him to fall into his own hell. We're done here, right? I'm going to hang up now. Just as I was moving the smartphone away from my face, I heard his voice from the depths of the phone. Wait. What now? Is there something else? I've realized. I need you. Please, give me another chance. To be speechless might be an understatement. How did he come to think this way? To think that he would ask for reconciliation at this point. What are you talking about? Don't say such foolish things. How could your thinking even go there? And here, I revealed another hidden truth to deliver the final blow. I know. You've already been fired from your job. What are you talking about? He wouldn't admit it right away, but it was the truth. Pretending otherwise was futile. There's no turning back now. While I was dismayed at his foolishness, I continued. You talked about being harassed by your boss and colleagues in the hospital room before. But that was all a lie, wasn't it? I heard you were the one pushing work and mistakes onto others. Why, how did you? I called your company to confirm you were on a trip with your mistress. That's when they told me you were causing problems there. As a result, my husband was fired. Always lying and deceiving people. He's truly hopeless. The only reason you're pushing for reconciliation is for money. You can't work properly with your current condition, so you're trying to make me work for you, right? I see right through you. No. I really realized your importance. Despite his ongoing lies, I completely dismissed his flawed reasoning. You used me like a tool and discarded me when I was no longer needed. You lied to suit your own needs and deceived me and your own parents. I will never forgive that. It seemed my utter contempt for him had finally gotten through. At last, he spoke words of regret and apologized. I'm sorry. I've been taking you for granted all this time. Ultimately, I thought you would forgive me. Though we couldn't see each other's faces over the phone. The tone of his voice conveyed that for once, his apology was heartfelt. You finally apologized. But I will never forgive you. Live your life alone and lonely. With those words, I pushed him away and hung up the phone. It's insane that some people never understand others' pain until they experience it themselves. But I was insane, too. I married him without realizing his true nature, became terrified, and complied with his demands. Even though I had allies and the in-laws close by, I never sought their help. I had regrets and reflections of my own, but now everything was finally over. I let out a sigh of relief. Later, I heard that Thailand had also sought help from his parents. However, since I had already informed them of everything beforehand, they were even more furious with him than before. By pushing him away, his parents left him without any allies, and he hit rock bottom. Meanwhile, Mia had found another mark to swindle. It seems people don't change that easily. However, it turned out that Mia picked the wrong person this time, and ended up being cornered herself. I hope this painful experience brings her some sense of remorse. Later, the in-laws came to apologize to me again. Kristen, we are truly sorry for everything that happened. We know it's not something that can be forgiven just by apologizing, but we are sincerely sorry. They expressed their apologies even more profoundly than Tyler. But I held no grudge against the in-laws. As I've said before, there's no need for you both to apologize. I am truly grateful to you. Kristen, we will always be on your side. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything. The in-laws smiled kindly. Seeing their smiles, I felt warmth in my heart unexpectedly. Oh, Kristen, it's been a while since I've seen your smile. I had become unable to express my emotions, but unconsciously, I had smiled. My future is bright. With this realization, I cherished my current happiness. Being with you just makes me poorer, so I want a divorce. You can have the kid, just pay me $80,000. When I got home, my husband, Ned, suddenly brought up divorce. Up until today, I had been very devoted to supporting him. Unforgivable. I will definitely make him regret this. Without showing my feelings, I coldly responded to him. Fine. My casual response must have shaken Ned. But it's too late. From now on, you're going to see hell. My name is Sandra Irving. I'm a 25-year-old front desk clerk at a hotel. Last year, I married Ned, my boss at the time. I became pregnant at the beginning of this year and left the company. The workplace I left was warm and comfortable to the very end, celebrated by everyone. Since then, I have been a full-time housewife, working hard on housework and childcare. Our newborn son cries a lot at night and doesn't drink well. Despite the chaos of having a child for the first time, Ned had been devotedly supportive. However, Ned suddenly changed one day. He used to be proactive with household chores and took care of the child. But his recent behavior has been strange. I've got a work dinner tonight, so I won't need dinner. That's a lot, huh? I understand for a sales job, but it's tough when it's you all the time. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm off. There were never weekly drinking parties when I was working. Especially since he was like the head of the restaurant department. Such meetings were supposed to be during working hours. It was unheard of him to go to drinking parties after work, even when our son was born. But recently, this lifestyle has become the norm. I convinced myself that things must have changed since my time. However, that led to suspicions due to Ned's certain behavior. I'm home. Is the bath ready? Welcome back. It's ready. Ned seemed unusually happy when he returned from the drinking party, and strangely sober. Which made me question his expression. Ned, you're usually not good with alcohol, but you seem fine today.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't drink much. Ned appeared greatly disturbed by my casual remark. Another surprise was nearby him. It wasn't the smell of alcohol but the scent of women's perfume. Usually, he would have a drink with snacks as soon as he got home, but today was different. He immediately asked for a bath. At that moment, a sense of discomfort arose in me. You usually come home drunk after being forced to drink so much? Today the sales manager wasn't there next to me. Thanks to that. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just worry about your chores. People often express lies through negative words and speed up their speech without realizing it. Ned was particularly prone to taking a domineering attitude. Hearing his words, I instantly sensed his guilt. Despite this, he continued to go to drinking parties. And there were times when he came home early in the morning. I was convinced that Ned is keeping something from me. When he returned home early one morning and left for work without sleeping. This is Ned's phone. He had unusually left his phone on the sofa, and I found it. While holding the phone and contemplating whether to bring it to him, Ned returned home. Seeing me with his phone, he snatched it back with a look of disgust. "What are you doing touching someone else's phone?" "Huh? I was just wondering whether to bring it to you since you left it here." "Shut up. You didn't look, did you?" While he quickly put the phone in his chest pocket, he glared at me with a look of contempt. The way he looked at me made me more certain. He thought it would be bad if I saw what I shouldn't see. This might be the moment, I thought. But if it's another woman, it would be bad to confront him now and have him delete the evidence. I haven't looked. I wouldn't stoop so low. What's with that tone? Who do you think is feeding you? Know your place. Trying to intimidate with power, Ned slammed his bag onto the table. He was trying to dominate me through force. If I were alone, I would talk back and leave the house right now. But I can't do that with my precious son here. Who knows what could happen? I need to endure. Endure and expose Ned's wrongdoing. I clenched my fists hard, desperately trying to control my anger with pain. As if sensing my feelings, our son, who was sleeping in another room, woke up and realized I wasn't there. I could hear his desperate cries calling for me. Shut him up already. His irritable shout made me flinch, and I could almost see him raising his fist. I shrank from his menacing look. How did our relationship come to this? At the beginning of our marriage, there was nothing like this. But upon reflection, maybe I was just blind. His behavior had always hinted at something like this. In the early days of our marriage, Ned insisted on meticulous household rules. Clean the toilet after every use, never leave dishes in the sink. He demanded that meals only be eaten after all the dishes were washed. And the sink was scrubbed clean. I was expected to clean up after every meal Ned ate and take care of all the laundry. If his shoes were dirty, it was up to me to notice and clean them without being asked. I remember these directives led to arguments between us, as I was overwhelmed by the constant demands. The amount of housework has increased compared to when I lived at my parents' house. And on top of that, there's childcare. Ned, who initially helped out, is now acting like this. Why did I get married in the first place? I've reached my limit in this environment, where I feel like I'm doing more work than a housemaid. Especially with his treatment now. I've reached my breaking point and want to divorce him. I want to grab my son and flee this house right now. It was during these thoughts that a turning point arrived. Sandra, what is this? It was about a month after I started digging into Ned's affairs. I had just put my son to sleep and was finally enjoying some alone time when Ned confronted me with a picture. It was a snapshot of a pleasant coffee time with a former colleague from my previous job. What are you doing so leisurely outside while I'm at work? I finished the housework and went out for some coffee to stretch my legs. What's wrong with that? Where do you get the money for this? You've been wasting the living expenses I give you. Ned mistakenly believed that I had misused the living expenses on non-essential things. Without listening to my side, he started yelling loudly. At that moment, our son, who was supposed to be sleeping, woke up and began to cry loudly. Shut up. Stop wailing. Despite the fact that our son was crying in another room, Ned went out of his way to enter the room and scold him. At that moment, feeling the need to protect my son, I stood in front of the door in a defiant stance, determined not to let him pass. Move it. No, I won't move. Do you even realize what you're trying to do? He's just a newborn baby. It's insane to yell at such a small child. Over the past few days, it seemed my eyes had been opened. Staying with this man would bring no happy future for either me or my son. I wanted to leave right away. I had enough reasons to leave. All that was left was to gather the funds to do so. I still couldn't raise my son alone. First, I needed to find a job. I had to look for one discreetly, not at my previous workplace. As I was thinking this, Ned forcefully pushed me aside, opened the door violently, and left it open as he coldly spoke. Get out. I don't need a wife who can't show respect to her husband. Pack your things and leave now. Wait, what are you saying? Don't be unreasonable. Just leave. You're an eyesore, you maggot. After using my money without permission and that arrogant tone. Who do you think you are? If you're going to talk back like that, I don't need you anymore. Take the kid and just disappear. Ned hurled insults at me and, while shoving our crying son and my belongings at me, he threw us out the front door. He locked the door, making it completely impossible for me to return home. I was left wandering the streets with my newborn son. In the quiet back alley late at night, only my son's sad cries echoed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Because I was such a failure as a parent. I'm really sorry for putting you through this hardship. Fearing a disturbance report from the neighbors, I quickly moved to a park. Holding my son tightly to keep him warm, ensuring he felt my presence. As I apologized over and over, determined to protect him at all costs. I planned to seek help from the city office or somewhere else once the sun rose. Just then, as if to add insult to injury, it began to rain. Without an umbrella, I held my son close to shield him from the rain. And tears fell just like the raindrops. If only I had seen through Ned sooner and divorced him before our child was born. If I had been a stronger woman, none of this would have happened. Despairing over my helpless situation, an elderly man appeared. What's wrong? Why are you here at this time? Despite it being past 3 a.m., a well-dressed elderly man offered his umbrella to shelter me and my son. What happened to bring you and such a small child out here? The man, likely living in the grand house across the park, had heard the continuous crying of my son and came to check on us. Although it was suspicious to be approached by someone at such an hour, for some reason, I felt a sense of nostalgia towards the elderly man. As I shared the recent distressing events, he didn't say a word but covered my head with his towel and gently dried my hair. Come to my house. I have female servants who can help care for the baby. It's too cruel to spend the night here. Moved by his kind tone and compassion, my tears flowed endlessly. Accepting his invitation, I followed him with my sobbing son into his home, where a shocking truth would soon be revealed. Leave the rest to me. Nodding at his words, I decided to rest for the time being. His servants were kind and gladly took care of my son. Thanks to them, I was able to sleep soundly for the first time in a long while, waking up only in the afternoon. A female servant noticed my awakening and mentioned that my phone had been ringing a lot. She had refrained from waking me, considering my deep sleep. Grateful for their kindness, I checked the missed calls, unsurprisingly all from Ned. Likely, he couldn't prepare breakfast without me and was demanding I return immediately. His calls were typical of a hopeless husband, making me regret ever seeing anything good in him. Though I didn't want to return, ignoring him could lead to trouble with the police. Deciding to speak with Ned, I took my son and headed home once more. Thus began the fierce battle between me and Ned. You. Where have you been wandering around until now? Not preparing breakfast, leaving the house a mess. After such a stupid argument yesterday. You stubbornly didn't come home all night. I nearly snapped back, but I suppressed the urge to retaliate. How am I supposed to enter when the door is locked? And how would I know about the lack of breakfast? If you regret not being able to prepare it yourself, you shouldn't have driven me away. You're the smart one, aren't you? He always belittled me. A smart person like Ned would have avoided such a situation altogether. But in the end, he was the one in trouble. He should realize it's all his own doing. With that in mind, I goaded him by throwing his words back at him, and I saw his temples twitch. I've had it. I can't do this anymore. His anger must have reached its peak. I don't know when he prepared it. But Ned pulled a piece of paper from his room and slammed it on the living room table. We're getting a divorce. I never want to see your face again. There, on the table, lay the divorce papers with Ned's name on them. He must have thought I would panic upon seeing it. His face, expecting an apology, revealed his inner thoughts. But I wasn't going to play into his hands. I grabbed a pen from a nearby shelf and signed without hesitation. Understood. You're unusually compliant. With no job and no parents, you have nowhere to go. What are you going to do now? Despite his outward bravado, I could see the cold sweat on his forehead. The twitching corners of his mouth, and the look on his face said it all. Such a foolish man. While inwardly despising him, I quickly gathered my remaining belongings. Silent, huh? Well, fine. This feels refreshing. As I ignored his words and packed, Ned, seemingly carefree, delivered the final blow. Being with you just makes me poorer, so I want a divorce. You can have the kid, just pay me $80,000. Perhaps because I wasn't visibly shaken, Ned demanded a reckless amount of money. I was utterly astounded internally. He was trying to shake me with money, to rile me up. If we got into an argument, he could dominate the conversation and manipulate me. Then he would impose even more restrictions on me, making my life miserable while he freely enjoyed himself. Reading through Ned's transparent thoughts, I turned around with a broad smile and quickly responded. Fine. Hearing this, Ned visibly faltered and panicked. Do you understand? $80,000. $80,000. There's no way you can come up with that kind of money. Is that all you want to say? I'll transfer it by the end of the month. You handle the rest.
Bye.
And so, our divorce was finalized. As Ned instructed, I transferred a large sum of $80,000 to his account. I was aware of his affair and had gathered evidence. But I chose not to demand compensation from him. Because from now on, I plan to show him a hell that money can't redeem. 2 weeks later. When I woke up in the morning, my phone was bombarded with calls from Ned. It was finally happening. Ned would surely call again. Sure enough, he called. I didn't answer the first time, and on the second call, I hung up shortly after picking up. On the third call, I finally answered, and Ned, his voice raised and speaking rapidly, blurted out. You. What do you think you're doing? Are you messing with me? If I had answered on the first call, I could have kept the conversation calm and controlled. My actions on the second call were meant to frustrate him. Maintaining his irritation was essential. If he remained rational, my plan would be jeopardized. I needed to provoke his short temper and make him lose his cool. And on the third call, I deliberately chose not to start speaking. To keep the upper hand, I needed to keep him agitated. You're always so loud. I can adjust the volume on my phone, so there's no need to yell. What do you want? I'm quite busy, you know. While saying this, I elegantly sipped my coffee and flipped through a magazine. Busy was a lie. I was enjoying a leisurely day off with my son. Making it seem like I was too engaged in real life to bother with him was merely part of my rhetoric. What have you done? What are you talking about? I haven't done anything. Such a lie. In truth, I had taken everything from Ned. His wife, his job, his money, his family. I had stripped him of everything. That's a lie. Only you could have done such a thing. Give me back everything. You liar. Ned was crying bitterly over the phone. His pained cries almost amusing to me, and I laughed to myself. Why don't you try explaining what I did? I seem to have a bad memory these days. I can't remember a thing. Unlike him, destined for hell, I continued to enjoy my magazine and coffee time. He spoke to me in a fading voice, revealing shocking news. Immediately after our divorce, Ned remarried his current wife. Of course, I knew she had been his affair partner while he was married to me. It also turned out she was the daughter of a president of a client company. Apparently, Ned had concealed the fact that he was married. And on the day he proposed divorce, it was revealed that she was pregnant. Ned hurriedly divorced me and remarried her. Because she was connected to the largest contract among his clients. Thus, in a rush, Ned pushed for the divorce. His plan to divorce me succeeded, but that was just the beginning of his tragedy. First, he was kicked out of his house by his wife today. And she demanded a divorce because she found out about his previous marriage. Upon learning that I also have a child, she became furious. As she demanded compensation and announced the divorce, Ned panicked and lashed out at her. His rage was so severe that even his parents tried to intervene. He caused both mental and physical distress to his wife, leading her to report the situation at his workplace. The hotel he worked at decided they couldn't contract with someone like him and fired him. It was as if they clearly chose their business partners over him, and in one day, he lost both his wife and his job. Additionally, he had to use the entire $80,000 he received from me to pay for compensation and damages to the company, leaving him penniless. The damages to the company were so great that even $80,000 was not enough. And he had to use up all his savings. How did she know about my previous marriage? The only one who would do something like that is you. You stole my happiness. Ned screamed in frustration. I closed the magazine I was reading and decided to face him directly. His utter lack of remorse infuriated me. I had intended to just listen to him and hang up. But his continued refusal to reflect on his misdeeds was unbearable. I couldn't stand it. Stole your happiness? It's just karma. You cheated while you were with me, you were abusive to your wife leading to your divorce. And you got fired from your job, all because of your own actions. What did you say? You are nothing, and you dare to preach to me like that? You must be living a busy life because you can't support a kid on your own. This is the punishment for dumping me. He must have mistaken that I was working from morning to night. Holding up the magazine in front of me, I scorned him inwardly while politely delivering a sarcastic remark. I was busy reading a beauty magazine until just now, but I've finished. Now I'm thinking about having my second cup of coffee and maybe doing some knitting. What? How is that busy? Are you mocking me? Even over the phone, I could imagine him turning red and steaming like an octopus. My cheerful laughter probably irritated him even more. His shouting didn't stop. But even that was pleasant to me. I had been unable to say anything to him before, but now I was easily manipulating him. The unreachable environment where he could only shout was frustrating for him. And he demanded to see me immediately. Where are you? A phone call isn't enough. I'm coming over to your house right now. Sandra Irving, you're welcome to come, but you'll be turned away. I'll let the servants know that you're an outsider and absolutely not allowed in. Servants? Yes. I'm currently living in a mansion. With my father. I switched to a video call to show him the surprising scene. Chairman. Displayed on the screen was the elderly man who had helped me. And he was the chairman of his workplace. He was my father. Hello, Ned. Nice to meet you, perhaps? I'm Sandra's father. What? Huh? Father? How come? Chairman, I don't understand at all. Ned, who had been told I had no father, was visibly shaken. Even though I couldn't see his face, I could imagine his bewildered expression. Actually, I was divorced from Sandra's mother when she was pregnant with her. My parents had a romance despite their different social statuses. My father was the heir to a financial conglomerate, and my mother was a commoner. The child of a salaryman and an office lady. Grandmother disapproved of their marriage. And the entire family opposed it so vehemently that my father was disowned and lost all support. Seeing this, my mother broke up with him. And gave birth to me in a state where only recognition from the father was allowed. To avoid tarnishing the family name, they did not marry. But he recognized the child and sent child support every month. Unfortunately, mother passed away quite some time ago. I always wanted to meet Sandra and her family, but she was taught that I didn't exist in this world. It would have been too cruel to tell such a young child about her father's situation. Last year, my mother passed away. She asked my father to look after me, and it seems he cared for me from afar. I knew about your marriage because I was at the company. But that day, I was really surprised to see Sandra soaking wet in front of the house. You were being taken care of by the chairman that day? Yes. My father helped us when we were drenched. As I glared at him with a stern look, my father gently put his arm around my back and supported me. You said I had no economic power, didn't you? Unfortunately for you. I have inherited my father's company, and now my total assets are $13 million. I'm not petty enough to fuss over $80,000. That was all. The reason I wasn't shaken by the large sum of $80,000 that day was because my father had proposed this plan when he rescued us. That woman in the photo is the daughter of someone I know. I'll explain the situation to her partner, and they will divorce him soon. They are intelligent people, I think they will understand. Don't worry about any financial issues, I'll take care of everything. Sandra, you should prioritize yourself and your child. You are a precious keepsake from your mother. I won't let you be unhappy. Be at ease. With these words from my father, I easily agreed to the divorce. The amount demanded was transferred without hesitation. So, all this time, you were innocently manipulated by us. Have you finally understood, you fool? It's laughable that you think you're so smart. I snorted in derision, and he didn't respond, seemingly crestfallen. It was over. I truly felt it was hopeless, and there was nothing else to do but to back down. Thus, our fierce dispute came to an end. Ned never interfered with us again. Years later, my son became an elementary school student. Surrounded by my father and son, I led a fulfilling life, both professionally and personally. The servants were kind to us, and I finally felt I had captured the warmth of a family. Are you trying to ruin our wedding? I didn't mean to. I just wanted to say that you're spending too much money. Lisa, I understand that you are poor, but Sean is going to be the next president, right? We don't need to worry about money. Even if he is going to be the next president, this is too much. That's not true. When I asked him, "Don't you want to see your mother happy?" Sean would listen to anything I said. What? Sean loves you, doesn't he? When I said it was for you, he generously provided the money. The words hit me like a knife. I suddenly looked at the face of the bride, and she was smirking at me. You exploited the feelings of my son who cared about me. Anger was bubbling up inside me. To this, the bride responded with shocking words. So what? If you're going to complain anymore, can you please leave? We don't need a low-educated poor mother. Please don't involve yourself with us ever again. Her words, steeped in a sense of superiority, rapidly amplified my anger. I would never forgive this. The time she could feel victorious was only temporary. Glaring at the back of Lisa, who was walking away, still looking down on me, I made a firm resolution and attended the reception. My name is Megan. My husband passed away early, and now I live with my son Sean. Since my family was poor, I started working as soon as I graduated from junior high school. Later, I met my husband who had started a company, and we got married. Decades later, when his business stabilized and we were financially comfortable, my frugality never faded, and I still live a life of saving. Neither my husband nor Sean ever spoke ill of my frugality. On the contrary, they accepted it and joined me in being economical. My son, who has a generous personality, has accepted my frugal nature without complaint even now as a working adult. After my husband's death, the company was taken over by my brother-in-law Kevin, who is now the president. Sean works there and is a candidate for the next president. Despite such talk, my son continues to live as usual without boasting. Sean, whom I raised alone after my husband's death, is my pride and joy. Sometimes I worry that he cares too much about me and pushes himself too hard. But that caring nature is also what I'm proud of. Since he started working, his independence seems to have grown. And he has become a very reliable man recently. So, when he said, "I have a girlfriend," I felt a bit lonely, but I genuinely wanted to bless them. She's a girl introduced to me by a friend, but she's really nice. I smiled at the happy Sean. I want to start a family soon, to reassure you, Mom. So, I want to marry her. Oh, thank you. But haven't you been dating her for only a short time? Don't rush into marriage because you're worried about me. It's your life, so make your own decisions without worrying about me. It was delightful that he cared about me. But I didn't want him to choose his lifelong partner just to reassure his mother. However, the fact that he had a girlfriend, that he seemed very happy, and above all, that he cared so much about me, warmed my heart. I was blessed to have such a son who loved me. That's what I thought. Half a year after hearing from Sean that he had a girlfriend, the two were seriously considering marriage, and he said she would come to greet me. Although I had heard about Lisa from my son several times before, it was the first time to meet her. Megan, is it true that you are a junior high graduate? And yet, you raised a fine son like Sean. After introducing ourselves and chatting a bit, it was when Sean left the table. Lisa gave me a provocative look. Well, yes, Sean has really grown up well. I barely managed to respond, but I couldn't help feeling uncomfortable with her words. Although her words praised Sean, they seemed to mock me as well. Fine? You don't humble yourself at all, do you? Normally, people are modest. Oh, maybe you don't know this kind of common sense because you're a junior high graduate? What? Oh, sorry. I was just curious. It's really amazing. I definitely couldn't raise a son as a single mother. Although she said that, the corners of her mouth were slightly twisted in a smirk. What were you talking about? When Sean returned and asked this, Lisa responded without hesitation. We were talking about how amazing it is that your mother raised such a wonderful Sean. I really respect you, Megan, she said, turning a smile towards me. But I could feel the thorns in her words and couldn't shake off a feeling of discomfort. Right. Sean is going to be the next president, right? The conversation shifted to the future of the two, inevitably leading to talks about Sean's upcoming promotion. She looked excited about the prospect of Sean becoming the next president. In contrast, my son responded calmly. It's just because my uncle is the president that people say that. I'm still inexperienced and need to study and grow more. It's the company my father left behind, so I can't take it lightly and let it decline. But you will become the president eventually, right? Lisa asked, hurriedly. I'll do my best to make it happen. Sean said this with a smile, but she seemed a bit dissatisfied. Before we talk about becoming president, you need to get promoted first. The jobs assigned to you depend on your position, and you need to be aware of those responsibilities. When I advised this, my son nodded strongly. Lisa regained the sparkle in her eyes at this. When you get promoted, your salary will increase, right? Since you're being called the next president, I guess your income will keep getting better, huh? Her eyes lit up at the mention of a next president and salary. The discomfort I felt about her remained even after she left. Tell me, Sean, isn't Lisa just marrying you for your money? She seemed too interested in your salary and the talk of you becoming the next president. I couldn't help but ask my son. It's his life, even if we are family. I shouldn't have interfered, but I couldn't help speaking out, considering his happiness. However, Sean denied it. I don't think that's the case. Lisa is concerned about money because she plans to manage our finances after we get married. Money is also important in marriage. I see. So, you two have discussed it properly. Yes. Lisa said she would manage our finances when we get married. She's a very responsible woman, so it'll be fine. Well, if you say so. Mom, I'm 28 years old, okay? I'm an adult, so please don't worry like that. My son's smile swept away my worries. Seeing his expression, I realized something. Perhaps I was just feeling a sort of jealousy towards Lisa. Was that what it felt like to be the mother of a son who was getting married? I found myself strangely convinced by that thought. However, I would later realize that such thoughts were mistaken. A year after Lisa's greeting, they have a wedding today. I know nothing about the details of the wedding. Lisa told me not to interfere too much. Surely, the wedding is a significant event for the two of them and their future married life. I decided to silently watch over them, eagerly awaiting this day. However, when I arrived at the venue, I was stunned and stood frozen. The rented venue was decorated extravagantly, beyond what is usual for ordinary people. In the waiting room, there was a guess the color quiz for guests to guess the color of the wedding dress Lisa would change into during the ceremony. I've seen such productions before, but there was a distinct difference this time. There were 2 changes of clothes and guests were asked to choose 2 colors. The menu listed luxurious ingredients abundantly used in the dishes. Even the entertainment included a professional magician. I had attended many weddings before, but I had never experienced one as lavish and clearly expensive as this. I had not anticipated experiencing this at my son's wedding. This is too much. Disturbed and anxious about the wedding's extravagance, I thought I must talk to Sean. With that in mind, I headed to the bridal couple's room. There, I saw my brother-in-law Kevin and Lisa. Lisa was humbly and politely responding to the blessings from him. Thank you very much. Please continue to support Sean. I will do my best to support him too. I'm counting on you too. Sean has my expectations. Yes, I'll do my best. Lisa said this and responded politely. Even after finishing speaking, her smile remained, but as soon as she saw me, her expression turned into one of disdain. Feeling a bad premonition, I rushed to Lisa and asked about the situation. Lisa, it's been a while. You told me not to interfere too much, so I've been silent until now. But isn't this spending way too much? One dress change is enough. The wedding should be more modest. Despite my fluster, she looked calm and unapologetic as she responded. What can I say? It's already decided. It's troubling to hear this now. I was speechless, and Lisa looked at me with the same provocative eyes as when we first met. Are you trying to ruin our wedding? I didn't mean to. I just want to say that you're spending too much money. I understand that you are poor, but Sean is going to be the next president, right? We don't need to worry about money. Even if he is going to be the next president, this is too much. That's not true. When I asked him, don't you want to see your mother happy? Sean would listen to anything I said. What? Sean loves you, doesn't he? When I said it was for you, he generously provided the money. The words hit me like a knife. I suddenly looked at the face of the bride, and she was smirking at me. You exploited the feelings of my son who cared about me. Anger was bubbling up inside me. To this, the bride responded with shocking words. So what? If you're going to complain anymore, can you please leave? We don't need a low-educated poor mother. Please don't involve yourself with us ever again. Her words, steeped in a sense of superiority, rapidly amplified my anger. I would never forgive this. The time she could feel victorious was only temporary. Glaring at the back of Lisa, who was walking away, still looking down on me, I made a firm resolution and attended the reception. Now, please welcome Megan, the groom's mother. After being invited to the microphone by the host, I prepared to give my speech. I had discussed the speech with Sean beforehand, but it seemed he had kept it a secret from Lisa. The course of events was different from what Lisa had planned, and there I was. Still not having left after being told to go, now about to give a speech. Though silent, she was clearly emitting a displeased aura. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. Sean and I have supported each other all our lives. As I began my speech, I shared my feelings for my son. After recounting some old episodes, I continued. However, it seems that today I must let go of my son. Therefore, I am firing him. What? A murmur ran through the venue. My brother-in-law Kevin was also surprised. And the company's attendees showed confused expressions. The murmur in the room did not subside. The first to speak up was Lisa. Fired. What are you talking about? You're not even part of the company, so you can't make him quit. Even if you are his mother, that's not acceptable. What are you talking about? I said I'm firing Sean. You told me, we don't need a low-educated poor mother, so never involve yourself again. That's. Besides, it seems you're only after my son's money. I can't trust a son who would choose someone like you. That's why he's fired. The murmurs in the venue grew louder. Lisa's face turned red with embarrassment as her harsh words toward me were exposed. Sean was glaring sharply at her. What do you mean, we don't need a low-educated poor mother? Did you say that to Mom? And about being after the money. It doesn't matter, right? We're going to live our lives together from now on. So we don't need a mother who has no education or money. Besides, even if she said that, there's no way she can actually fire you. Mom is the chairperson of my company. What? Lisa's face, which had been red, quickly turned pale upon hearing my son's words. She asked, obviously flustered. But, you said she's a junior high graduate. A person like that being a chairperson. There's no such thing. That's the case. The company was founded by my father. Mom has been involved since the very beginning. Now, she understands the company more than anyone and holds the actual management rights. Why didn't you tell me such an important thing earlier? If you had told me sooner, this wouldn't have happened. Instead of apologizing, Lisa started blaming my son. But Sean looked at her with disdain. I was going to tell you the details of the company gradually. But now, that's unnecessary. Since the marriage is off, there's no need to tell you anymore. What do you mean? The marriage is off. Isn't it obvious? I can't marry someone who looks down on my mother and is only after money. The wedding is off. Sean's voice carried an undeniable authority. Lisa, realizing this was serious, suddenly tried to appeal to me. Megan. I didn't know you were the chairperson and I was terribly rude. I won't look down on you, who is the chairperson, anymore. Please forgive me. Lisa said this, apologizing, but of course, I had no intention of forgiving her. That's impossible. Because if I weren't the chairperson, you would still look down on me, right? I cannot be family with someone who cannot respect others and loves to waste money. Goodbye. With that, I started to leave the venue. Following me, Kevin stood up, and other attendees began to prepare to leave as well. Wait, please. Don't go, everyone. Lisa cried out, but no one even gave her a sympathetic look. Rather, my relatives said, it's good that Sean didn't marry such a person. And Lisa's relatives looked utterly dismayed. Lisa's friends also began preparing to leave quickly, complaining. She looked down on us, saying she was going to be the wife of the president. Everyone left Lisa stunned. Sean and I returned the gifts we had received and apologized to the departing guests. After everyone had left, my son muttered apologetically. Mom, I'm sorry. I wanted to reassure you, but instead, it ended up like this. Now we can't even work together anymore. That's why I told you not to worry about me. Also, about that matter, it's already settled. What? I said I couldn't trust a son who chooses a partner for their money, so I was going to fire you. But now that the marriage with Lisa is off, I'm not firing you. Sean looked relieved at my words. Thank you, Mom. I'll work even harder from now on. Your happiness is what matters most to me. I patted Sean on the back. Afterward, the engagement with Lisa was officially cancelled, and the cost of the ceremony was split. However, Lisa had planned to have Sean pay for the entire wedding and keep the gifts from her guests for herself. Unable to pay her credit card bills for the beauty treatments and other expenses, she ended up in debt. Lisa had already quit her job in anticipation of marriage and had no money. She quickly tried to marry again for money, but her new partner turned out to be a marriage scammer. She ended up even more in debt, and now no one knows where she is or what she's doing. On the other hand, our bond as mother and son strengthened even more after this incident. Sean seems to respect me even more now and is eager to become independent and reassure me. Not through marriage, but on his own. Thanks to his dedication to his work, the company has continued to grow. And just the other day, the president of a longtime business partner introduced his daughter to us. I have also worked with his daughter on several occasions. Sean seems quite interested in this new opportunity. My son has grown into a fine man, and it looks like a new spring is coming for him, which makes my heart leap with joy.
Hey. How are you doing? Wait a minute. Where are you right now? A week had passed since my husband and in-laws moved without telling me anything. That's when I got the call. Huh? Why do I have to say such things? Are you stupid? What do you mean by that? Seriously, what a noisy woman. I'll forgive you if you apologize. Also, if you work as a housekeeper, I'll even give you the keys to the house. How about that? Isn't it a good proposal? I couldn't help but sigh at the absurdity. Who would do such a thing? For someone useless like you. Isn't that more like you? Huh? How dare you? I could hear my husband talking to someone over the phone. Huh? Yes, I understand. It was probably. My mom wants to talk. Without my consent, he handed the phone to his mother. Hello, can you hear me? I can hear you, but... Oh, you were alive. What did you say? Because you are unemployed now, right? I've heard about it. You really deceived me, what a scummy woman. My husband had lied to his mother to protect his pride. Who really is the scum here? I thought. What should I do? Why are you silent? Say something quickly? Hearing those words made my blood rush to my head. It's bad to say, but I'll teach this misunderstanding old woman over the phone the truth about my husband. It seems you are mistaken, so let me tell you the truth, it wasn't me who got fired. It looks bad now. Isn't that more on your side? Huh? Such nonsense. It seemed like the irritation of my mother-in-law would not stop. I'm not joking. After all, the luxury you've been living in is thanks to me. Enough already. I never thought the conversation would be this incomprehensible. No matter how much more time I spend telling the truth, she wouldn't listen. That's when I made up my mind. Then, I'll divorce your unemployed good-for-nothing son. Huh? Do you understand what you're saying? Even if you do that, you're the one who will suffer. Don't worry. Rather, you should be the one worried. This is not going anywhere. If you're going to hang up, you might want to ask about the firing. As I said that, the call ended. About 5 minutes later, my husband called again. Probably after talking to his mother. However, I did not answer the phone. I thought. Now, let them suffer a bit more. And I waited for the opportunity. Thanks to that, what awaited my husband and in-laws was not just hell. I am Ashley, and my siblings have been running a company passed down from our grandfather. My brother Phil is the president, and my sister Emma is an executive. As for me, I am the manager of several apartment buildings inherited from my father. I have enough income just from the rent. I met Joey when I was 33 years old. The catalyst was my sister Emma. Sister, isn't it about time you got married? Huh? What's this all of a sudden? You're at a good age, so I thought it's about time. How can I get married when there's no one? Leave that to me. A week later, my sister introduced me to Joey, a friend from her university days. My first impression was that he was a well-groomed young man. As someone who had only focused on work, I didn't know what to talk about. Then, have fun just the two of you. Wait, Emma. My sister left laughing. Left alone, I realized he was younger than me since he was a friend of my sister's. I thought, I, as the older one, need to be responsible. Shall we go then? Yes. Both of us, still nervous, entered a nearby restaurant. We ordered drinks and gulped them down immediately. Thanks to that, it seemed like our tension eased. I'm sorry about today. Emma did it on her own. No, it's fine. Actually, I wanted to meet you. Huh? You mean? Actually, I've heard about you from Emma. She's been talking about you ever since college. That girl really. According to Joey, Emma had been bragging about me a lot. We spent about 2 hours together and then decided to part ways for the day. See you then? Ah, wait. Can I have your contact if it's okay? Right. We haven't exchanged it yet. Thus, we exchanged contact information and started going on regular dates. So when are you going to get married, big sis? It's too soon. Not really. How long have you been dating? About 6 months? Then, there's no problem, right? You think it's someone else's problem. In fact, Joey confessed to me a week after Emma introduced us. I was surprised, but it didn't feel bad. I accepted his confession. And 6 months passed. I had been thinking about getting married eventually, but I hesitated to bring it up myself. Since I am older, I thought it might pressure him. One day, while I was thinking about this, I have something important to discuss today. Understood. I'll meet you at the usual place after work. Then, see you later. The call was during lunch break, and I could hardly concentrate on my work for the rest of the afternoon. It's no wonder. Nobody would not be conscious after hearing such things. That day, I was proposed to. I was somewhat prepared, but when actually asked to marry him, I wondered if I really was the right person. So, what's your answer? Please take care of me. However, what followed was challenging. The next thing was to greet the parents. Both of my parents warmly welcomed our marriage. Only the greeting to my in-laws was left. However, what about greeting your parents? Ah, about that. Yes? Joey's expression was dark. It even seemed like he didn't want to go. I have a little request. I want you to keep quiet about your job. What do you mean? It's fine with my father, but my mother. According to Joey, my mother-in-law had a weirdly high pride and believed that it was unthinkable for a wife to earn more than her husband. Apparently, his late grandmother also had such a personality, and she had thoroughly inherited it. So please, adjust the story a bit. Joey pleaded. When he did that, I couldn't say no, but I was anxious. It's okay to hide it, but can we keep it hidden forever? I think it will be okay. He didn't explain specifically at that time, but I had no choice but to trust his words. And a week later, we went to his parents' house. Are you okay? I'm getting a bit nervous. I'm here with you. And just as we discussed beforehand. I know. When Joey pressed the doorbell, my mother-in-law came to greet us. Good of you to come. Come in. Thank you for having us. We were led to the living room, where the father-in-law was waiting. Good you came. Take a seat. Yes. I glanced sideways, and Joey seemed to be nervous too. We came because I have an important talk. I intend to marry Ashley. I see. Ashley, do you work? I anticipated such a question. In the preliminary discussion, we decided I would say I'm doing clerical work through a temp agency. It wasn't all a lie, as I occasionally helped out at my brother's company. That's why we decided on that. Currently, I am doing clerical work. I see. What does your father think? It should be fine. So, it's okay for us to get married, right? Yes. There's no reason to oppose. Thank you. While making small talk, I went to the bathroom. When I was about to return to the living room. Wait a moment. Yes. I thought it was unfortunate to meet her at such a place. What is that? What do you mean? Wearing something that looks so expensive. She was pointing at the necklace. Ah, this is. As you're going to be a wife from now on, you don't need such things. Take it off right here, right now. Excuse me? Shall I take it off for you? My mother-in-law tried to snatch my necklace. It's okay. I can do it myself. I immediately took off the necklace. It was actually a birthday present from Joey. I tried to explain it several times, but it seemed that my mother-in-law took it as an excuse. Also, I don't like your outfit either. Showing so much leg. It's indecent. I wondered why I had to be criticized to this extent. Perhaps thinking I was taking too long, Joey came to see what was happening. What are you doing here? We were just talking. We'll be back soon. Okay. Understood. My mother-in-law interrupted me. Remember what I just said. I'll be coming over regularly to check up. What do you say? I understand. I had no right to refuse at that moment. Rather, I was just too exhausted from being unilaterally criticized. I returned to the living room, but I didn't say anything. I didn't want to say anything wrong and be criticized. Is something wrong? It's nothing. I blamed Joey in my mind, but it wouldn't help to show that attitude towards him. I just wanted to leave his house as soon as possible. I don't quite remember what was discussed afterward. Thus, we got a provisional approval and returned to Joey's house. For now, we need to look for a house for us to live in together. Yes. We went to look at properties, but I couldn't get my mother-in-law's words out of my head. Before I knew it, I had signed the lease in my name. I hadn't thought this would lead to a major problem later. Thus, we became husband and wife, but the smooth sailing was only at the beginning. For now, let's keep it hidden from my mom. Can we really do that? It'll be fine. Joey's baseless confidence only made me anxious, and it became a reality. We tried to avoid dealing with the in-laws as much as possible. A month after we got married, I came home from work to unexpectedly find my mother-in-law there. Mother. Why are you here? Well, I came to check on you. What were you doing until this time? I was at work. But you're a secretary, right? Isn't it too late even for that? I looked at Joey, and he was shaking his head sideways. It seemed he wanted me to keep hiding it. I had to work overtime today. Saying that, did you really just go out and come back late? I did not do such a thing. I wonder. Mom, that's enough. But. Anyway, we are doing fine without any problems. With that word from Joey, my mother-in-law reluctantly left. Sorry. I didn't expect her to come to the house. Maybe we should tell her the truth? It's okay. Leave it to me. But essentially, we are deceiving her. Enough. Don't say the same thing over and over. Was it necessary for me to be told so much? Despite being newly married, I gradually began to distrust Joey. However, there was a good aspect. Whether Joey's words had an effect or not, my mother-in-law stopped coming over. I thought I could finally relax, but I felt a further anomaly one day at noon. Huh? Why are Joey's shoes here? I cautiously entered the house. Then I found Joey lying on the sofa, drinking alcohol. What are you doing? Whoa. Apparently surprised, he dropped the can of beer he was holding. Why are you here? I came back because I forgot something. More importantly, what happened to your work? I wasn't feeling well, so I left early. But you seem to be drinking. Does that mean you're cured? Look. They say alcohol is the best medicine. Even so, you seem to be drinking quite a bit? Looking at the table, there were already 6 empty beer cans. That's supposed to be in moderation, right? I think drinking too much defeats the purpose. Joey fell silent. I went to the bedroom to fetch the document I had forgotten. Glancing at the living room, despite my earlier caution, he was now gulping down sake. Come on, stop it. Huh? Isn't it about time you didn't have time for this? I'll ask you in detail when I get back. Take care. I really wanted to question him thoroughly right then, but as Joey said, I didn't have the time. Is something bothering you? No, not really. You look down, just like Phil said. Sorry. I'm really fine. Could it be something with Joey? Why would you think that? Just a feeling. I guess that's the only thing I can think of. I didn't know what to say. Let's focus on work for now. Yeah. Right. After work, we siblings gathered. So? What's troubling you? You don't have to tell anyone else. So feel free to talk. Thank you. Here, I explained about my mother-in-law and Joey's current situation. That's... Sorry. I had no idea it had come to that. It's not your fault, Emma. But what will you do now? Should I talk to him? That might just make things worse. Didn't we just agree to keep this between us? Maybe, but... I was touched that they had thought it through so much. For now, I'll try talking to him in more detail. That sounds good. I'm here to help whenever you need. Thank you for that. After this conversation, I returned home. However, Joey was not there. The alcohol had been neatly cleaned up. I thought, where has he gone? I tried calling him, but there was no response. Joey didn't return until the next morning. Where have you been? I just went to my parents' house. Mom suddenly called me. What's so funny about that? Huh? You didn't answer your phone, and you really went to your parents? You could have at least called, right? What are you trying to say? If that's what you think, why don't you call my mom? Don't say such nonsense. Since it was already time to leave for work, I left the house. When I arrived at the office, I got a call from my mother-in-law. Hello? What do you think you've done? I don't follow. You doubted Joey? Because he didn't answer his phone. Getting angry over that. You really are petty. My mother-in-law continued to berate me afterward. She even went so far as to call me useless. I couldn't stand being insulted anymore and snapped back. There's no reason for me to be spoken to like that. What did you say? Please don't say such nonsense. I have work, so I'm going now. I unilaterally ended the call. Having held back until now, I felt a great sense of relief. Feeling a sense of accomplishment for getting through the day, I returned home where Joey had some harsh words for me. I heard you said something terrible to my mom? It wasn't terrible. I just said what was obvious. Don't joke around. What do you think of someone's parents? Then you shouldn't do things that make you suspicious. Fine. I have my own ideas then. Saying this, he started making a call while laughing. After the call, Joey said, "Look forward to it." The situation took a sudden turn 3 days later. What's going on? Boxes were continuously brought into the house. Confused and stunned, I went outside, where Joey appeared with his parents. Why are you so surprised? I told you to look forward to it. We'll be in your care from now on. I just follow what Mom says. That's when I understood everything. Without telling me, Joey had planned for us to live together. That was what the phone call was about. Isn't this a bit tyrannical? Why? Joey suggested we live together because he's worried about us. He's really a wonderful son. But there's no room available. That's strange. Joey told us 2 rooms were available, right? Those 2 rooms were intended for when we had children, not for living with his parents. However, since the moving of belongings was already completed, there was nothing I could do. From this day on, my life would become a nightmare. Is breakfast not ready yet? It's way too early for that. That's none of our concern. If I had overslept, it would be another story, but it was only 5 a.m. at this point. From that day on, I started waking up at 4 a.m. This was just the beginning. However, something happened that made me decide to take revenge on Joey and his family. I ended up doing all the household chores. It wasn't that I wanted to. It was because no one else would do it. I thought I would break down if this continued, so I consulted my brothers again. What the hell is that? That's just unacceptable. Leave it to us. My brothers came to our house after work. They were there to speak their minds to Joey and his family. Huh? Brother? And Emma, what are you doing here? We heard you've been doing whatever you want? I would never do such a thing. Really? We heard you just moved in without asking. And you leave all the household chores to Ashley. That's not true. There was a misunderstanding. Anyway, leave this matter to me. I'll explain everything to our parents. So he says. That's fine, right? I had relied on my brothers, but I couldn't trouble them any more than this. That's fine. We're counting on you then. The in-laws were out for the day. I don't know what would have happened if they had been home. You really did something unnecessary. You shouldn't have done this from the start. Aren't you embarrassed to rely on your siblings? While Joey and I were arguing, his parents came back. What's all this noise? We could hear you outside. Listen, Ashley went and told her brothers. Tattling? Yes. She's making us out to be the bad guys. The audacity of a daughter-in-law. Actually, aren't you the ones at fault? Moving in without permission. Not doing anything around the house. That's only natural. Apparently, some punishment is necessary. Then Joey seemed to have an idea. It would be trouble if they come over again. Ah. I've got a great idea. Joey whispered to his mother. That's a good idea. Your siblings run a company, right? Yes, but if that company gets a bad reputation, it would be a disaster, right? It might even go under. What are you thinking? This is what I mean. Saying this, Joey showed me his smartphone. On the screen was false information about my brother's company. If you listen to us, we'll leave this as is. But if you do something unnecessary again, you're going to spread that online? Exactly. So don't ever do something like this again. It was essentially a threat. I had no choice but to comply to protect my brothers. However, Joey's tyranny wasn't just that. One day when his parents weren't around. I think you've realized, but I quit my job. Did you really quit by yourself? What are you implying? Just curious. At this point, it doesn't matter, does it? Yeah, you're right. Like you said, I got fired. Why? Various reasons. It's not important. I thought I had heard something useful. And don't you dare tell my parents. Why not? Isn't it obvious? Well, what are we going to do about living expenses now? Joey fell silent. Well, I guess I'll have to figure it out. I've been doing so up until now anyway. You might have forgotten, but I've been paying the rent and living expenses. Just don't do anything unnecessary. Months passed, and to Joey and his family, I was nearly a slave. I could only despair about how long this would continue. Today, there was an important meeting at my brother's company, so I was there. The meeting lasted until the evening, and I didn't get home until after 8 p.m. As soon as I arrived, I noticed something was off. There was no sign of anyone. The moment I entered the house, I was speechless. It was clearly desolate. I thought, could it be? I checked each room, but all the belongings were gone. I sat down on the spot, overwhelmed. I called my brother. What's up? Can you come to the house right now? Got it. I'll be there soon. About 30 minutes later, my brother arrived with my sister. What the hell happened here? There's nothing here. They moved out without telling me. Seriously, why would they do something like this? Huh? What's this? What's wrong? There's something on the table. What? What my brother found was a note apparently written by Joey. It read, "We are fine without you. So, we decided to move out. Thanks for the cash in the drawer, it was helpful." What's this about cash in the drawer? I hurried to the bedroom to check the dresser. The money I had hidden there was all gone. Could it be gone? They took everything. It had contained nearly $10,000. I messed up. I never thought they'd notice. But what are we going to do now? Although my brother asked that, I couldn't think of anything immediately. However, my sister's words reminded me of something important. But why do something like this? What's the benefit of doing all this? What do you mean? I mean, it's like being handed a divorce notice, isn't it? That's right. That's exactly right. What? Thank you. Huh? Oh, yeah. The situation of Joey and his parents leaving was actually an unexpected opportunity for me. Are you smirking? Yeah. It's kind of scary. Can I talk to you both for a moment? I then shared my plans with them. There's a lot I want to ask, but if Ashley has decided, then it's fine. I know I introduced you to Joey, but just go ahead and do what you need to. At that time, I deliberately chose not to contact them myself. Considering Joey's character, I was sure they would contact me first. So, I waited. It was a week after Joey and his parents had left. Hey. How are you doing? As I expected, Joey called. Wait a minute. Where are you right now? Huh? Why do I have to say such things? Are you stupid? What do you mean by that? Seriously, what a noisy woman. I'll forgive you if you apologize. Also, if you work as a housekeeper, I'll even give you the keys to the house. How about that? Isn't it a good proposal? I couldn't help but sigh at the absurdity. Who would do such a thing? For someone useless like you. Isn't that more like you? Huh? How dare you? I could hear Joey talking to someone over the phone. Huh? Yes, I understand. It was probably. My mom wants to talk. Without my consent, he handed the phone to his mother. Hello, can you hear me? I can hear you, but... Oh, you were alive. What did you say? Because, you are unemployed now, right? I've heard about it. You really deceived me, what a scummy woman. Joey had lied to his mother to protect his pride. Who really is the scum here? I thought. What should I do? Why are you silent? Say something quickly? Hearing those words made my blood rush to my head. It's bad to say, but I'll teach this misunderstanding old woman over the phone. The truth about Joey. It seems you are mistaken, so let me tell you the truth, it wasn't me who got fired. Huh? What are you talking about? It looks bad now. Isn't that more on your side? Huh? Such nonsense. It seemed like the irritation of my mother-in-law would not stop. I'm not joking. After all, the luxury you've been living in is thanks to me. Enough already. I never thought the conversation would be this incomprehensible. No matter how much more time I spend telling the truth, she wouldn't listen. That's when I made up my mind. Then, I'll divorce your unemployed good-for-nothing son. Huh? Do you understand what you're saying? Even if you do that, you're the one who will suffer. Don't worry. Rather, you should be the one worried. This is not going anywhere. If you're going to hang up, you might want to ask about the firing. As I said that, the call ended. About 5 minutes later, Joey called again. Probably after talking to his mother. However, I did not answer the phone. I thought. Now, let them suffer a bit more. And I waited for the opportunity. Thanks to that, what awaited Joey and his in-laws was not just hell. A month later, Joey contacted me again. Of course, I had been making various preparations during this month. I have nothing to talk to you about. Wait. Won't you live with me? Why? Why, you ask? Shall I guess? It's probably because you're after money? I absolutely refuse. You left on your own responsibility, so good luck. Don't say things like that. Aren't we close? You might have heard from your mother, but I intend to divorce you. What? That's just how it is. Don't contact me anymore. I thought it was over, but it wasn't that simple. The next day, Joey came to the house with his parents. Again? It's not like that. I've heard everything from Joey. And? I'm really sorry. Look, Joey, apologize. I'm really sorry. Can we start over? Isn't that a bit too convenient for you? I know that. But still, I'm asking you. How foolish can he be? No matter how much he apologizes, I have no intention of forgiving him. Sorry, but that's impossible. Please leave. If things continue like this, I won't be able to survive. But you took money from the house, right? Did you really use it all up? I used it all up on moving expenses and such. I couldn't help but laugh. Oh right. There's something I need to give you. Wait here. What is it? I went to the living room, grabbed something, and returned to the entrance. Here you go. What I handed Joey was a divorce form. This is. You can see what it is. It's a divorce form. There's no way this can be accepted. He then tore it up into pieces. Do you realize what you're doing? Joey. You. I will never agree to a divorce. Well, that's fine. Either way, I was thinking of consulting a lawyer. Can you leave for now? This conversation isn't over. Either way, if you keep making a scene, we can't live together. Let's just go home for today. Wait. Joey was practically dragged away by his parents. I then went to consult a lawyer introduced by my brother. There was still one final touch left to do. That was a close one. Thank you. Is everything really okay now? Yes. It's safer to handle the divorce through a lawyer. But I have a favor to ask? If there's anything I can do, just tell me. Actually, I asked my brother to help me find a new house. It turned out he knew someone who owned a real estate business. I quickly signed the contract and moved to the new house. Of course, I didn't tell Joey anything. Well, there was no reason to. As expected, Joey called soon after. Did you go to the house by any chance? Where are you now? Like I'd tell you. I had been hearing about Joey's situation through Emma. It seems he's still unemployed and living with his parents. Now that it has come to this, his parents will have to work as well. Considering how stubborn my mother-in-law is, it's unlikely she could handle a real job. Also, I heard you're still unemployed. Why do you know that? I won't tell you that. What? And please tell your mother to hang in there. You. By now, Joey and his parents will continue to face more challenges. Meanwhile, I'm living freely in my new home. And I've welcomed a new family member. I started raising a chihuahua, something I had wanted to buy for a long time. For me, this little one is enough. From now on, I will live my life with this little companion.
Even though I was pressured by Scott and his mother, I had difficulty conceiving. One day when I returned home, I found Scott, just back from a business trip, with Kelly holding twins in our house. Look. I gave birth to twins. Congratulations. I responded formally, and then Kelly made a shocking statement. Scott is the father. What? Both of them had a malicious smile on their faces. Sorry, you're just a barren defect. So, you're useless to us now. I'm going to remarry her, so let's get divorced. As Scott and Kelly left, I stood there in shock, then the phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. I heard that divorced Kelly returned to her hometown, so I set her up with Scott. She got pregnant right away, truly a model daughter-in-law. She chuckled. Did you encourage them? Yes, I did. Even after the call ended, I held onto my phone, fuming. Scott, Kelly, and my mother-in-law. I will make them regret what they've done to me. Be prepared. My name is Anna, a 42-year-old housewife. Scott and I married 3 years ago after meeting at a friend's wedding. He had a fresh and clean presence with a bright smile that I found appealing. Scott seemed interested in me too, and after the wedding reception, he suggested we start dating. Our relationship, intended for marriage, began, and 2 years later, we were married. My mother-in-law was warmly welcoming at the introduction, but clung to Scott and sobbed at the wedding. Guests chuckled at her clinginess, typical of a mother of an only child, I thought. And I was relaxed about getting along with Scott. I could never have imagined what the future held. Scott, who cared so much for me during the relationship, suddenly changed as soon as he got married. That doesn't mean he has become an abusive man. He began to give me orders and try to get me to obey him. Anna is precious to me. I want to protect Anna from other men. With that excuse, Scott began to overly interfere and dominate me. The first issues were about my clothes and makeup. Scott frowned uncomfortably when he saw me about to go shopping in a sleeveless dress. Do you want to be approached by other men? What? Confused by his question, Scott added. You're exposing too much skin. It's indecent. You should wear something appropriate for a married woman. I didn't understand what was indecent about a knee-length dress, but asked anyway. Then, Scott, what do you think I should wear? Scott then pulled a character pattern sweatsuit from the closet and handed it to me. Anna, you really don't have any proper clothes, do you? These are the only pants you have other than pajamas. What? Are all skirts bad? Of course. What if they blow up in the wind? There are lots of weird people out there. You need to be more careful. Lectured seriously, I felt discouraged. It might just be a matter of differing values. I couldn't bring myself to go out in home clothes, so I postponed the shopping. The next day, a bunch of plain sweatsuits arrived addressed to me.
Yeah.
This is about right. You're married to me, you don't need to dress up outside. Scott said it cheerfully, but I protested. Then where should I wear all the outdoor clothes that are overflowing in the closet? Wear them at home. You don't need to show them to anyone else. Actually, you don't need makeup either, right? Sunscreen is enough. Scott smiled. Maybe you should stop going to the hairdresser? If you really need to, I can cut your hair. I was horrified. Is this man sane? But, I'm paying for makeup and haircutting with my salary. It's a bit much to say that. Timidly making my case, Scott thought for a moment and then decided. All right, I'll allow makeup and hairdressing. But from now on, you'll go out dressed as I say. You're my wife, after all. Understood. Although I agreed, it was impossible to go downtown dressed like I was cleaning. Reluctantly, I resorted to changing into a dress in the station's restroom to go shopping or meet friends. Scott allowed me to go to the hairdresser, but he complained about my hairstyle. Since you're my wife, I want you to stop having hairstyles that appeal to men. Worn down by his persistent comments, I changed my brightly dyed brown hair to black with gray coverage. I also cut my long, permed hair and changed it to a short bob. Anna, you look different. People I bumped into were surprised, but explaining in detail was too troublesome. So I just smiled vaguely to gloss it over. Honestly, I didn't like being dictated to by my husband about everything. But hearing, Anna is my wife, I don't want her to stand out too much. And it worries me that other men might show interest in her, made it hard to complain. Ultimately, I convinced myself it was all done out of love and had no choice but to comply. Moreover, Scott didn't look too happy when I met up with friends. Every time, I had to report who I was going with, what time I would return, and even send a photo as proof to Scott's phone. If men were present at the dinner, even if they were friends' husbands, Scott would sulk every time. When I did attend, Scott would always come to pick me up. I'll head straight home once it's over, I'd tell him, but he was afraid I'd get too close to other men. I wasn't trusted. Your husband really treasures you. It's because you're newlyweds. I tired of brushing off these half-joking comments with a wry smile. Despite this, Scott justified his weekly outings as work-related, drinking every weekend. When I pointed this out, unable to agree, Scott pursed his lips. It's not like I want to go, it's just social obligations. If I cut back on these, it could affect my job and lead to a salary cut. Don't you understand? He half laughed as he said. If my salary decreases, it'll be tough for you too, right? Since you earn less than I do. I was frustrated, but as it was true, I couldn't argue back. The members are my bosses and subordinates, so I can't take photos.
Ah.
But don't worry, I'm not doing anything shady. So asserted, I found myself unable to complain. Scott was rarely at home, claiming overtime on weekdays and social drinking on weekends. Yet he was eager for children. But it wasn't out of a love for children, it was for his mother, who wanted grandchildren. I want to let mom hold her grandchild while she's still healthy. A boy would be ideal, but a girl would be fine for starters. He casually dropped such presumptuous lines. Oh, it didn't work out this month either? I really want to fulfill mom's wish soon. I also want to have a child soon. Scott patted my shoulder as if to console me. Well, I'm counting on you then. I'm looking forward to it. His detached attitude was exasperating. Did he think I could make a baby on my own? As our second year of marriage approached without any sign of pregnancy, I began to suspect natural conception might be difficult. I had been monitoring my menstrual cycle and basal body temperature, and was careful with my diet. Hearing that being cold was bad for pregnancy, I took warm half baths for over 30 minutes. And warmed my body with ginger and herbal teas. I did everything I could. However, Scott seemed uninterested when I talked about such efforts and lived carefreely. Cut back on smoking and drinking, I'd repeatedly tell him. But he seemed to have no intention of complying. Furthermore, even after I suggested having intercourse 2 days before ovulation for better chances of pregnancy, he would schedule fishing trips or drinking sessions instead. I started to doubt his sincerity about wanting children. Meanwhile, it was clear that his mother was eager for grandchildren. My in-laws' house, where we frequently visited during holidays upon her invitations, was an hour's drive away. She seemed to prefer including me, although calling Scott alone would suffice. My father-in-law, retired but busy with golf and volunteering, was often absent, leaving me to socialize with my stay-at-home mother-in-law. Her hobby was gossiping about the neighbors, and she often dragged me into conversations about grandchildren, pressuring, "Hurry up and have one. Listen, Anna. Mrs. Simpson keeps bragging about her 3rd grandchild. Such a nasty character, right?
Yeah.
And Mrs. Holmes, she's got a 2nd son now. Plus, her son lives with her. So considerate, don't you think? Yes. She wanted to live with us at my in-laws' house. But Scott had refused before we married due to the distance from his work, which displeased her. So, she seemed to say, at least give me a grandchild to satisfy me. This topic went on endlessly, and I wished Scott would deal with it. But whenever we visited, he would immediately go out with friends. Scott is always working hard, he wants to see his friends too. Of course, she defended Scott, but being left at my in-laws put a lot of stress on me. The meals were prepared by my mother-in-law, and I took care of the cleanup. There were no mean comments or sarcasm, just rush to say, I want my grandson as soon as possible. 2 years into marriage and still no child? When will I be able to hold my grandchild? Hey? You're not doing this to spite me, are you? I finally snapped back sharply after being nagged repeatedly. No, that's not it.
Ah.
Really? But at this rate, I'm worried I won't meet them while I'm still alive. Right, Scott? As Scott played with his phone, he chuckled and replied. Oh, come on, Mom. Anna is trying hard, right? So why does he act like it's none of his business? As these interactions between Scott and his mother continued, my frustration grew. However, entering our 3rd year of marriage, Scott suddenly stopped talking about children. At the same time, his weekend work and business trips increased unexpectedly. Scott used to occasionally invite me for nights out on weekends. But suddenly, those invites stopped. Even when I tentatively suggested it, he curtly declined with, I'm busy, maybe next time. His mother acted similarly. When I showed up at my in-laws' house, which used to be filled with incessant talks about other people's grandchildren, everything changed. She didn't mention them at all, as if she had become a different person. One day, I arrived at my in-laws' house earlier than planned. As usual, I parked my car in a nearby coin-operated parking lot and walked to their house. Scott said he would come later after finishing some errands, so I was there alone. Then, I saw a woman in a relaxed dress talking amiably with my mother-in-law at the entrance. I was so happy to hear that divorced Kelly came back to her hometown. We'll be counting on you from now on. Likewise, please take care of me. Our eyes met, and my mother-in-law's cheeks stiffened suddenly. Kelly, looking back at me with a curious glance, smiled meaningfully and greeted me. Nice to meet you. I'm Kelly Baker, living nearby.
Ah.
Hello. Kelly scrupulously looked me over from head to toe and smirked. Thank you for today, Kelly. We'll see you again soon. Despite seeming in the middle of their conversation, my mother-in-law hurriedly ended it and sent Kelly away. After taking me inside, my mother-in-law was cheerfully brewing coffee but seemed distracted. Eventually, Scott joined us, and my mother-in-law took him to another room for a private talk. When he returned, Scott was all smiles, which was odd for the entire day. I met Kelly again 6 months later. She showed up at the apartment where Scott and I lived, carrying newly born twins. Scott, who had been away on a business trip for 2 days, was already home when I returned from work. And for some reason, Kelly was with him. Look. I gave birth to twins. Congratulations. While Kelly enthusiastically showed off the babies, I responded formally and then asked Scott. Welcome back. By the way, why is Ms. Baker here? Before Scott could answer, Kelly responded. Actually, I'm Scott's ex-girlfriend. Oh, is that so? My nonchalant response seemed to irritate Kelly. Don't you get it? Are you stupid? What? Then Kelly dropped a bombshell. The twins' father is Scott. What? Unable to comprehend the situation, I stood dumbfounded as Scott wrapped his arm around Kelly's waist and pressed his cheek against hers. I should have married you back then. I was shocked by our breakup and made a wrong choice. We can start over now. I'm favored by your mother and will definitely get along well. Scott smiled happily at a confident Kelly. Mom has always liked Kelly. She was thrilled when we got back together. Plus, she got pregnant right away, with boys too. Mom praised her, saying, "Well done." Right? Unlike someone. The two shared a cruel laugh and then looked at me with malicious grins. Sorry, you're just a barren defect. So, you're useless to us now. I'm tired of you always doing as I say. I'm going to remarry her, so let's divorce. Dumbfounded, I stood there as Scott told me. I'm kind enough to give you a week. Find a new place and move out by then. Here, sign this divorce paper and submit it to the city hall. Scott left the divorce papers on the dining table and left the house with Kelly. Their laughter echoed down the apartment corridor. Was I just discarded? The control Scott had over me wasn't love, it was merely his desire to dominate. As I gazed at the divorce papers and stood there dazed, my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. If you interfere with those two, I won't forgive you. She spoke harshly, intimidating me. I never liked you from the start. I always wondered why Scott chose such a plain woman. Sorry for being plain. I apologized sarcastically. I thought I'd acknowledge you as a daughter-in-law if you gave birth to a grandchild. But you're utterly useless. You're brainless. She spat out her words venomously. I told Scott that Kelly had come back home. Those two got back together right away. They're really a perfect match. I wonder why they ever broke up. Did you instigate the affair? I asked in shock, and my mother-in-law casually admitted it without a hint of shame. Yes, that's right. I wanted Kelly to be my daughter-in-law. Getting pregnant so quickly, she's truly the ideal bride. She sounded utterly pleased with herself. So it's all my fault for not getting pregnant? Of course. There's no point in having a daughter-in-law who can't bear children. If that's the case, it's better to replace her with another woman. She stated this outrageous philosophy as if it were nothing. So just sign the divorce papers and disappear quickly. After a tirade, my mother-in-law hung up the phone. I continued to grip my phone for a while after the call ended, dizzy with anger, frustration, and a sense of humiliation. What do these people think of me? I can't let this go, the indignation is eating me up inside. Clenching my back teeth, I swore revenge. Scott, his mother, and Kelly. I will make sure they deeply regret causing me such pain. They should be prepared. Hey, haven't you moved out yet? It's been well over a week. Scott kept calling and messaging daily, but I used my busy schedule as an excuse to drag things out. Even after submitting the divorce papers, there were plenty of things to do. A week later, when I was ready, I summoned Scott, Kelly, and my mother-in-law to the apartment. All three showed up with sour expressions. Kelly wants to live in the apartment I've been in rather than a new one. So we've decided on this place. Get out already. It's not right to keep imposing on my parents-in-law forever. Since you've filed for divorce, move on. It seems like you're still hung up on Scott, but he belongs to Kelly now. As the three of them started making a scene at the dining table, I calmly addressed them. Scott and Kelly sat together, with my mother-in-law across from them. I served coffee for everyone and sat next to my mother-in-law, speaking sharply. I have no lingering feelings for this man. A man who lies, controls his wife, and has children with an affair partner is the last thing I want. Perhaps my words struck a chord because Scott looked visibly uncomfortable. Anyway, as long as you're squatting here, we can't move in. Oh, did you forget? My parents paid the down payment and half of the purchase price for this room. Did they? Scott blinked in confusion. It's incredible how he forgets things that don't suit him. despite bragging about his high salary at a big company. It's not much to boast about, I thought with a snort. We split the rest between us. Since my parents and I contributed more, I put it in my name. So, it's my apartment. Kelly and my mother-in-law were shocked. Scott, that's not what you told me. Scott, well, fine. Keep the place. Kelly, let's find another apartment. Scott tried to sound magnanimous, but Kelly pouted. I was looking forward to spending time in Scott's study. Fine, I'll ask Dad to buy us a high-rise condo. It's only because of Scott's earnings that you could live here. And now you're boasting like that? What a wicked daughter-in-law. I knew it. So, are we done here? To her discontented grumble, I smiled confidently. No, the main topic is just about to begin. The main topic? I called you here because I've gathered evidence to report. I pulled out an investigation report and about 10 photos from a large envelope and laid them on the dining table. At this, Scott and Kelly's faces turned pale, and they started to panic. They scrambled to collect the photos and hid them in their pockets and bags, prompting an annoyed reaction from my mother-in-law. What was that? I couldn't see. Don't worry. There are plenty more images I haven't printed yet. I then showed the images on my phone, sliding through them as my mother-in-law watched. Scott and Kelly screamed and tried to snatch the phone, but I swatted their hands away. As my mother-in-law peered into the phone screen, her face changed color. You too. You have other partners too? Their disturbance was natural. The screen displayed images of Kelly and Scott each arm in arm with different partners, entering and leaving hotels. Come on, Mom. Don't believe that. Anna must have fabricated them. Yes, that's right. She looks timid but is cunning. As they scrambled to make excuses, I countered. A novice like me couldn't possibly take such good evidence photos. I hired a detective agency to investigate the infidelity. So these are definitely genuine. If you doubt it, why not call the agency yourself? I handed out the detective agency's business card, and Scott and Kelly fell silent, their faces sour. Eventually, unable to bear the silence, Scott confessed.
Yeah.
That's right. I've been seeing other people besides Kelly. It's my money I'm spending, I can do what I want with it. Got a problem with that? Other men won't leave me alone. I can't help it. Wait, Scott, you said I was the only one. You big liar. Kelly, burning with anger, and Scott, equally aggressive. You too. Saying, I can finally be with Scott, it's like a dream. Are any men fine for you? Enough. She scolded them both. Holding her forehead, she lamented in a dismayed tone. I'm disappointed in both of you. After all the arrangements I made, this is a letdown. Seeing my mother-in-law's disappointment, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Shaking my shoulders as Scott, Kelly, and my mother-in-law stared at me puzzled. Sorry, it's just funny seeing Mother pretending to be a reasonable person. I'm sure you'll be cheated on. Because you don't support Shinya as a daughter-in-law. My mother-in-law, this time, turned her attention to me. She continues to nag and make sarcastic remarks as usual. If you had properly devoted yourself to Scott and had children, he wouldn't have strayed to Kelly. In the end, it's all your fault. Despite her own role in orchestrating their affair, she had the audacity to say such things. As I stood speechless, Scott and Kelly jumped on the bandwagon, shouting in chorus. That's right. It's all Anna's fault. If you can't satisfy your husband or have children, it's only natural he'd lose interest. Poor Scott.
Yeah.
By the way, Mother, you're quite active yourself, aren't you? When I spread a different set of photos across the table, my mother-in-law gasped, speechless. Scott and Kelly, peering directly at the photos, let out absurd exclamations. Hey, seriously? Is that Mom's guy? Eek, a lover from overseas? Mother, not bad. Scott and Kelly were astonished, and I just smiled. There's also audio from the date. Wow, I want to hear it. It's not something shady, is it? It seems like a detective agency recorded it at a cafe. Ignoring the flustered mother-in-law, I played the voice recorder. Francois, I'll have the money ready soon, just wait. Her upbeat tone was evident in her voice. The parent of Scott's new partner is wealthy. So I'll just flatter the daughter-in-law and get them to cough up the money. Kelly is simple, so it's easy. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm glad, now my sister can have her surgery. I love you. My mother-in-law happily responded to his broken English. It's okay, about $30,000. I love you too. Scott and Kelly's eyes widened as they stared at my mother-in-law. Who is this Francois? Are you sure about his background? Don't make that face. It's fine. She laughed it off. He's an Italian working here. Met him on social media. He's poor and couldn't afford his sister's medical treatment for a rare disease, so I covered it. She spoke proudly, puffing out her chest. He said he prefers mature women with a nurturing spirit like me. I gave him $30,000 to start with, and he cried with joy. He's a good boy. Scott looked despairing as my mother-in-law seemed smitten. Where do I even begin? Francois is a French-sounding name. It must be all lies. Sounds like a scammer preying on women. Don't speak ill of Francois. Kelly, veins bulging in her temples, snapped back. So you were pushing us together just to give him money? Unbelievable, this old woman. Calm down, Kelly. Scott tried to soothe the infuriated Kelly. It's thanks to Mom that we got back together. I apologize, can't you forgive me? Scott. Scott patted a still discontent Kelly's head and smiled. I may have strayed to other women, but I still love you, Kelly. You also bore my children. Let's make up. Kelly softened at his words. You're right, I was wrong too. In the end, I love you the most, Scott. Let's keep getting along well. After gazing into each other's eyes for a moment, they both turned to face me. Are we done here? I need to go. We left the kids with the babysitter. We're busy taking care of the twins. You wouldn't understand, being dumped by Scott and all. I looked up at the wall clock. Just a moment longer. They should be arriving soon. Just as I spoke, the doorbell rang right on cue. I checked the intercom, saw the guests, and let them in. Scott, Kelly, and my mother-in-law looked puzzled at the two men who suddenly appeared. Dad? And who are you? Scott eyed the elderly man behind his father and asked. Forgotten already? He's the doctor I consulted for fertility testing, introduced by your father. Scott remembered, while Kelly showed panic. You were getting fertility tests? I didn't know about this. Didn't I mention it? Scott answered nonchalantly, while Kelly frowned. What brings you all the way here? Scott asked, puzzled, and I answered for the doctor. I went to speak to him directly, but you seemed too busy with Kelly and the twins. I explained the situation to your father and had him come here. Scott frowned at my explanation. The doctor met my gaze, I nodded, and he sighed softly before breaking the news. Actually, Scott, you have male infertility. There was a moment of icy silence, then Scott and his mother exclaimed in unison. What? Huh? While we all looked on, the doctor furrowed his brow and continued reluctantly. Anna has no issues. Scott, you have a very low sperm count. It's impossible for you to father children with such a condition. The doctor laid out the test results on the dining table, and Scott, Kelly, and my mother-in-law scrutinized them intently. Soon after, Scott and Kelly screamed. Me? No way, that's a lie. Give me a break. This is totally unexpected. They were completely panicked. Kelly, tearing at her hair and screaming in a shrill voice, exclaimed. I never thought you'd be infertile. Our plans are completely ruined now. What are we going to do? Plans? I got back with you because an employee at a major corporation had better prospects than a good-looking freelancer who claims to be a model. And now this? I've been deceived. In her agitated state, Kelly blurted out more than anyone asked for. Hearing this, Scott's expression turned demonic. Hey. I forgave your cheating, which caused our initial breakup. And now you've done the same thing again? I believed we could really start over this time. Scott clenched his fists, his voice low and growling with anger as he confronted Kelly. Huh? As if you have any right to blame me. You cheated with other women yourself. That was just for fun. It's completely different from what you did, you actually had kids. Amid such a low-level quarrel, I, my father-in-law, and the doctor were dumbfounded. We had no intention of intervening and silently watched the unfolding drama. I cut off the other guys and chose you to be the father. You should be thanking me instead of complaining. So, it wasn't my fault we couldn't have children, it was Scott who was infertile. Kelly, the defective barren one isn't me, it's Scott. I jumped into the conversation as Scott and Kelly looked at me resentfully. Undeterred, I quoted what Kelly and my mother-in-law had previously said to me. Remember what you told me, mother? A wife who can't have children is worthless. So, a husband who can't father children must be worthless too, right? I smiled triumphantly at my mother-in-law, who bit her lip in frustration and glared back. Expecting more harsh words from her, instead, my mother-in-law turned to Scott and Kelly, unleashing a thunderous scolding. I believed they were Scott's children. Unforgivable. This hussy. And Scott, you fell for such a wicked woman. Get a divorce right now. I don't need you to tell me that. I'm getting a divorce anyway. And don't you dare order me around when you've been cheating yourself, you old hag. Amid the ensuing chaos, my father-in-law sighed deeply. He walked over to me and apologized. I'm sorry my wife and son have caused such trouble. When I hired someone to investigate, it turned out she was cheating with a man who was involved with other women too. It took time to gather the evidence. Looking exhausted, he addressed Scott, my mother-in-law, and Kelly. Let's go home. We'll discuss the rest there. He calmed the nearly brawling trio with the help of the doctor and ushered them into the car, heading back to their family home. The day after I filed for divorce, Scott and Kelly, who had just remarried, ended up facing another divorce within a week. Both were heard complaining to friends and acquaintances. I never want to see that person's face or hear their voice again. While Scott and my mother-in-law ignored the advice from relatives, my mother-in-law finally listened when it was revealed she had been deceived by a scammer. She tried frantically to recover the money she had spent, but the scammer, already pursued by the police, had disappeared. After finding out she had used his retirement savings without permission, Scott's father served her with divorce papers. She cried and resisted but eventually gave in. It also came to light that she had accumulated debts in Scott's name. leading to a massive argument, with Scott's father and Scott moving out of the family home. My mother-in-law was left to live alone in their large house. After divorcing Kelly and moving into an apartment, Scott paid a lump sum of compensation into my account and continued his work as if nothing had happened. However, his past resurfaced when a local acquaintance joined his company and spilled the beans. The story of his remarriage to his ex-girlfriend and their quick divorce reached his superiors, who questioned his character. Relegated to a lesser department, Scott saw his salary significantly reduced. As soon as he became financially unstable, his former lovers distanced themselves, and he faced desperate days trying to pay off the debts his mother had accumulated. After divorcing Scott, Kelly moved back to her parents' house, where she lived leisurely with her twins, relying on her wealthy parents to pay the compensation in one go. She told them, "I remarried Scott, but it didn't work out." However, after I sent a legal notice revealing Kelly's multiple affairs and uncertain paternity of her children, her parents were furious and kicked her out. Reluctantly, Kelly moved into a rundown apartment. Placing her twins in daycare, Kelly started working multiple jobs, tirelessly working day and night. Now free from anyone dictating my choice of clothes or hairstyle, I grew out my hair and dyed it my favorite color. I began shopping for cute clothes at my favorite stores and enjoyed meals with friends, relishing the happiness I had regained. My heart felt light and refreshed as I lived my days. Though my marriage had failed, I learned a valuable lesson about not being deceived by superficial kindness. Now, I plan to enjoy my work and personal life to the fullest, without worrying about anyone else's expectations.